It's a great day to be sporting the red, white, and blue here in Braves country. Atlanta has its game face on for the Mets are in town. And Jason Hayward has been a New York killer. He and Justin Upton have been a dynamic duo for Atlanta as the Braves try to take Game 2 of this series against New York tonight. Summer has come on with a vengeance here in Atlanta, Georgia. A hot, sticky night greets us for Game 2 of our series between the homestanding Braves and the visiting New York Mets. And all year long, Braves baseball is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. The right stuff, the low price, every day. A miraculous comeback by the Braves last night and a big collapse by New York in the 8th inning. Atlanta won last night 5-3. They try to turn the trick again tonight in Game 2 of our series. And welcome back to Turner Field, friends, along with Joe Simpson and John Smoltz. Chip Carey with you for the middle game of our 3-game set. Braves continue their winning ways, fellas, and that's the tonic for Mike Minor, who gets the ball for Atlanta tonight.
Well, he'd like to continue that, and the way he's got to continue that is he's got to command his fastball, and he's got to have arm side control. What I mean by that is away to a right-hander. He has a tendency every once in a while to have the ball cut, and the command of his fastball is the key. Now, in his last start, the ball was up, and in a park that does not give up a lot of fly balls, he paid for it. But if he has his curveball, slider, and changeup working down, he's going to be tough. And it has been a rhythm-type year for Mike Minor, and he has not gotten to the rhythm that we're used to, Joe.
Well, the consistency is an issue, John, and I think 2 starts ago against Washington, he pitched a good ball game, gave up 2 runs, got nothing to show for it, no decision. And then there in Houston, as you saw and as you pointed out, I mean, everything was up, everything was belt-high, and the Astros weren't missing it. Tonight, he's going to have to work on getting that ball down.
Dice K is the man that's pitching for the New York Mets. He's a tough customer, especially with runners in scoring position. If the Braves get chances against Dice K, they'd best cash him in. You know, Freddy Freeman is willing to do that. He loves facing the Mets, and Jen Hildreth will talk about that with you when we come back to Atlanta right after this.
Start a new month with a new streak, or at least continue one they've got going already. Hey guys, Jen Hildreth here with you at Turner Field. The Braves have won 5 in a row. That ties for the longest streak this season. See if they can go ahead and break the record now that we've turned the calendar over to July. And one guy who has come on along with the team recently is Freddy Freeman. And this is a guy who must love to see the Mets come to town. Because if you look at our Home Depot tools from the dugout, Freddy's career numbers against the Mets, yeah, they're pretty good. He's hitting .318, 13 home runs, 19 doubles, 52 RBI. He's hitting .407 against New York this season. And Justin Upton said recently that as Freddy goes, the team goes. I asked Freddy what he thought about that.
I think it's the other way around. You know, it's I try and just go out there and be the consistent guy. You know, obviously I had a tough stretch for a while that you know, I wasn't really contributing to the wins. And, you know, it's just nice to be able to, the last couple of weeks, get out of the slump I was in and contribute and help this team win.
Freddie was able to contribute last night, despite, if you look at the box score, just 1 at bat, but he got on base. He had 3 walks. He had a sac fly, and the Braves, of course, got that big 5-3 win with a big comeback in the 8th inning. So tonight we'll see if the Braves can do it again. Maybe get those bats going a little earlier in the evening. We would sure take that. But a good finish last night for the Braves. We'll see what they can do in Game 2 against the Mets when we come back to Turner Field.
Braves battery, Mike Minor and Christian Bethancourt making their way from the Atlanta bullpen. They're getting ready for Game 2 of our series between the Braves and the New York Mets. Nice crowd filing in at Turner Field tonight, where we welcome you to Tuesday Night Braves Baseball. It's presented by your Atlanta area Mazda dealers. What a win for the Braves last night. A sluggish 3-0 deficit for quite some time. Then the Braves put it together. The Mets defensively, John, fell apart in the 8th inning, and the Braves took advantage of 3 extra outs.
Well, when you get a gift like that as the next day starting pitcher, you want to pounce on it. You want to make sure that you do your part to extend not only that gift but the winning streak. And I think the perfect opportunity for Mike Minor, even though it hasn't gone the way he wants, come out of the first inning throwing strikes and put your team at the plate with no runs given up.
I think that's been kind of a common thread lately too, that the starting pitchers have been going out there and really having to struggle to get through the first inning and not give up a run, and in many cases they're giving up 1 or 2 and putting the offense behind the 8 ball early on. Let's hope he can avoid that tonight.
So here's how Terry Collins lines his Mets up for game 2. Curtis Granderson started the game with a bang, to Joe's point. A leadoff homer last night. He's back out there in right field. Ruben Tejada's got a hot streak. He's the shortstop and hitting second. Daniel Murphy, 103 hits, is their second baseman and batting third in place of David Wright, who will not play in this series. That's because Eric Campbell mans third base, right out with a sore shoulder. Lucas Duda's their first baseman. Chris Young is in left. Young catcher Travis d'Arnaud is hitting seventh. Juan Lagares eighth. And Daisuke Matsuzaka is the New York pitcher. He, of course, will bat ninth against Mike Minor, who at long last makes his way to the center of the diamond here in Atlanta. And fellas, it's been a while since Mike Minor's picked up a win. He's overdue.
He is, and I think when I would look at this lineup as Mike Minor does, 3 left-handers in there, make sure you establish yourself against the lefters, which he has not done a very good job on the year, which is surprising to me. But more importantly, you know, pound strikes and be on attack. He pitches better when he's ahead, as most pitchers do, but when he's behind, it has been a big-time struggle with opponents' batting average high when he's behind an account.
There's something to that, too, as we go to his 4 keys for pitching success tonight, too. Number one, as we talked about in his last start at Houston, he's got to get down tonight. When you make,
I like that.
You can sing it any way you want. But number 2, leadoff innings, getting that first guy every inning, not just Granderson here in the first, but every inning, because of that high batting average when there's nobody on base. That seems to be setting him up for some problems.
And you know, when you're struggling, you got to be wary of the first pitch, meaning the hitters know that you want to pound strike. So his first pitch average has been not very good. 459. That's 17 hits on the short year already on first pitch balls put in play.
Defense obviously was a big story last night. The Braves did a good job of catching the baseball. They'll try to do the same tonight with Upton and Hayward left to right in the outfield. Freeman, LaStella, Simmons, and Chris Johnson, and Christian Bethancourt behind the plate. Some folks, fellas, were surprised that Bethancourt is starting his second consecutive game tonight rather than Gerald Laird in game 2.
I'm not, and I bet you Gerald's not either, based on what Gerald has been saying in the paper, which was very professional of him. Gerald knows his role. He knows he's the backup guy, even in case of an injury here. He also knows that Christian Bethancourt's the #1 prospect in the Braves organization. What better time to find out about him than over the next 2 weeks?
And I would imagine, John, a pretty steep learning curve with Bethancourt and Minor. Probably caught him a bit during Mike's rehab stints early in the season and some during spring training, but here we are, July 1st.
Yeah, it's a great time to get him going, especially right before the All-Star break, not knowing how long Gaddis is going to be out. You get a guy that, so to speak, gets his feet wet right after it.
So Curtis Granderson leads off for the Mets. 11 homers, 36 knocked in. And he jumps all over the first pitch and drives it on a big hop into right field. 1 pitch, 1 hit for New York.
What are those numbers, John? Will you update those for us?
Yeah, it's now 18 hits, and the average has gone up a little bit. But you're trying to attack. The pitch is down, and you're talking about a guy that was struggling coming into the series and has hit a home run now in the leadoff spot and now a base hit in the 2 consecutive games.
So Ruben Tejada's the batter. Tejada's their hottest hitter with a 9-game streak and a .240 average for the year. He had a hit last night. Something I really hope we see early in this ball game is Bethancourt throwing out base runners, or trying to. He has a cannon behind the plate, we're told. Story in the newspaper earlier today, a scout had him timed at 1.7 seconds glove to glove.
Wow, that's impressive.
Well, then it's all on the pitcher, because if the pitcher does his job, you're going to throw out a lot of base runners at that time. 1-1 is really good for a right-hander. A left-hander can get away with it a little bit more because of the deception of whether he's going home or to first, so he holds the runner a little bit longer, unless the runner goes on first movement.
Moderate lead at first for Granderson. And Tejada
Pops one back toward us, out of play, foul, a ball and 2 strikes.
Well, for Minor, and I've watched him now over the last couple of years, and I really am a fan of the way he's progressed. This year has not gone the way we are accustomed to seeing him. He's been a tough luck pitcher in the past, and they haven't scored many runs. But the way his arm goes on the backside creates some issues, but it also has some leverages, and I'm going to explain what that means. He's got a little bit of a cup when he goes. He cups the ball, which means he kind of does a little bit opposite of what you teach a pitcher, but that late life also helps. But what it also does, and what I mean by cups, that he takes his hand and it goes
wraps.
I'm sorry, that better word, wrap, and that affects his changeup. His changeup, when he gets in trouble, cuts, and that wrapping, and then that ability to throw a changeup, which should fade away from a right-hander. When he's not right, that pitch shows up and he gets the ball up and it cuts over the middle of the plate. So the timing of him being able to get his arm out of the glove. We'll see if we can see out of a home field, a center field camera view. You'll see that the arm comes out, the ball is wrapped, and then the timing of his leg is going to be important on whether he hits his location with his pitches.
Well, that's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, but it can be an advantageous thing. So there you see what I'm talking about from center field camera. Typically, you have an arm swing. The ball comes out. It cups. Right there's that Steve Avery kind of. Reminds me of the way Steve Avery used to throw the baseball. But look for today. If he can command the pitch away to a left-hander, that means his ball's not cutting, and it's actually holding plane away to a right-hander. Sorry. That right there.
And Dale Scott rings up Tejada.
That's a perfect example of where that pitch can be and why it holds its plane and doesn't cut. The hitter won't have much of a chance. He's going away. He stays away, and the timing and everything. See how that ball holds its plane right there? Perfectly done by Mike Minor and Bethencourt.
Guy I remember as a kid who cupped the baseball or wrapped the baseball so dramatically was Rick Sutcliffe.
Yes, he was the absolute that's not supposed to happen type pitcher, and he
and the Dodgers tried forever to break him of it.
Yeah. Kent Mercker did it. Kent Mercker had the same kind of action. And what it is, it's a little bit of a short arm drop. I had it a little bit. I cupped early on and was able to make the adjustment to get out of that habit.
So Granderson at first with 1 out, and Danny Murphy the batter. Murphy 2 more hits last night, now 103 for the season.
But what he does really well is he hides the ball. So the hitter doesn't get a chance to see it. It's almost directly behind him. So when he's good, and when we've seen his fastball not at 95 but at 91 explode and beat hitters, it's that part of the deception that works in his advantage.
Murphy having a super year for the Mets, hitting .303.
This is another area for Mike, though, that because he hides the ball so well, John, you would think that he'd have a little leg up on the left-handed hitters, and that's not been the case. We've already seen a base hit from Granderson tonight, and lefties came in hitting .364 against him. He hasn't given up a homer to lefties. All 11 homers have been hit by right-handed hitters. That's a high average against lefty to lefty.
Murphy spoiled that one out of play. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
It's odd tonight with Mike coming in. The overall batting average against him is .291. Dice K 180. 100-point difference between the two. But Dice K walks a bunch of guys.
And your point about left-handed batters being troublesome for Mike is really noticeable when you check out what he did against them last year. Left-handers hit .217 against Mike Minor in 2013. That was the 12th best average by a left-handed pitcher in the league.
Interesting.
So from .217 to .364. Those are his splits for the season. As Joe said, no homers. All of those have been to right-hand hitters. And Murphy's spoiling some good pitches here to stay alive.
This is one of the reasons Daniel Murphy's leading the National League in hits. You know, he's got a real nice flat plane on his swing, uses the whole field, covers the plate. I'm not sure that he's in the top 10 and toughest to fan, but he puts the wood on the ball.
To see that hard biting knuckle curveball right about now.
One ball, 2 strikes. Mentioned last night, must be something about the position because Jose Altuve of the Astros is the American League hit leader. Saw a great stat on Altuve earlier today. Do you know how many times he swung and missed in June? 18 for the month. 18 swinging strikes.
I did that 1 month in batting practice.
And Murphy driving Mike's pitch count up here in the first inning. He hits lefties well. A .338 average against them. Another reason why he could be a very, very valuable piece for the Mets going forward, or a real valuable trade chip 30 days from today. That's right, we're in July. July 31st is the Major League trade deadline.
It's unusual. I mean, I haven't been following. It's unusual to have that kind of set of signs with a runner on first. So they're almost acting as if there's runners on second, where you're decoding your signs with an indicator. They're not just doing the traditional.
They've been doing that a lot, John, and some of it has to do with some communication issues that have been obvious between Santana and Tehran to Evan Gattis at times, but it seemed like it started, Chip, correct me if I'm wrong, down in Miami when there was a suspicion when the Braves got swept by the Marlins that maybe there were some signs being stolen, and they started alternating their signs a lot, and I don't know if it's helped or hurt.
Well, I mean, I understand that, but it'd be tough to steal a sign unless you're not on second base.
I agree. Why complicate it now?
Wow. Great at bat. 10 pitches so far seen by Murphy. That's 10 of the 17 Mike has thrown in the inning. And Joe, you're right. That was after the Aaron Harang game. Remember, he had pitched so well against the Marlins here, and then went to Miami and gave up 9 runs, the most he had given up in any start. And he said, where were these guys last week? It was all tongue-in-cheek, though, for the Braves. As Murphy drives one to center. Pretty well hit, but playable. BJ in the shadows is there. It has it. Murphy with a terrific at bat flies out to center. And back to first is Granderson with the second out of the inning.
I think you might get a chance to see Betancourt throw now, Chip. I mean, even with Minor out there, the left-hander, that makes it a little harder to get a good jump. He's getting antsy standing over there. And they may be changing the signs again right here. Either that or LaStella and Simmons were both a little bit in the dark as to what signs they've been giving the whole inning.
So here's Eric Campbell. Campbell with a big error last night. One of 3 made by the Mets in the 8th inning. He's in for David Wright, out with a sore shoulder. He takes a strike.
That's the beauty of baseball, and you get a chance to redeem yourself if you're an everyday player the next day in some form or fashion. You just hope you can do that. It's one of the things that I enjoyed most about closing, to be honest. As a starter, it's the life if you do it well. You wait every 5 days, you win. Those days go by fast. You go to the mall when you win, show yourself off. When you lose, you stay at home, clean.
Wash the car.
Yeah. Turn into a troll.
0-2 pitch is up and away. I've never heard that before. You show yourself off.
That's what Clive used to say anyways.
Him, I'm buying. You, I'm not so sure.
Well, I had a jersey on. He just went in normal clothes.
1 ball, 2 strikes. And again fouled by Campbell, the pride of Boston College. And a nice catch off to our right.
Yeah, 91. I saw a lot of the indoor walls. 2-11 in the first half. That was miserable. But as a closer and an everyday player, you get to come to the park and certainly atone or keep going what's going good. Starter's life's a little more difficult in the sense when you're not going good, kind of like Mike Minor's not at the stretch where he wants to. You have more time to think about, watch video, pull your brain about all the things that you aren't or are not doing.
That ball's hammered into the upper deck foul. And the chase is on for that souvenir. Went down the exit ramp.
But that's why the changeup's so important for Mike. He's got to have something that gets him off of the fastball, gets away from a right-hander, just fades, stays on that outer half of the plate. Like that.
Campbell swings and misses. Minor had a heavy workload, though. 24 pitches, a couple of punch-outs, and Granderson's leadoff hit wasted for the Mets. Here comes Dice K in the first inning. Gonzalez lines him up against the New York Mets. As always, the lineup presented by our friends at Toyota. B.J. Upton's riding a hot streak at the top, 7 consecutive games. Simmons, Freeman, Justin Upton, Jason Hayward, another Mets killer. Chris Johnson, Tommy La Stella, Bethancourt 8th, Minor 9th, and a crafty right-hander, Daisuke Matsuzaka. John, your former Red Sox teammate.
Yeah, what he wants to do is put you to sleep, and what I mean by that is he's going to throw a ton of pitches to try and get you out. He doesn't necessarily adhere to the strike throwing program, but you see those numbers pretty stingy once guys do get on base.
And his 4 keys to success tonight: walks. He puts a lot of guys on base. In fact, he's had 68 base runners in his 53 innings of work, and 35 of those are walks. The Bravos, well, these Atlanta Braves have worn him out pretty hard in his opportunities to pitch against them with a 7.5 ERA.
Well, you know, B.J. Upton's seen this guy a lot from their days in the American League East. Daisuke was a star with the Red Sox, and B.J. was with the Rays. Obviously, fellas, it's a very small sample size. Here we are, the first week since Upton has batted leadoff. Hard to argue with 6-1.
Sure is. He's doing a good job. I think it's invigorated him swing wise too. I think he's had better swings at better pitches to hit in the last week.
That's what he's done since moving to the #1 spot in the order. A .267 average. Overall, 209. 5 runs scored since leading off.
Well, I know nobody has a lot of patience in this game, but when you're able to start taking better, meaning taking pitches better, you start feeling better that the streak is going to reverse itself the other way, that you'll start getting more hits.
That one was tipped and caught. Beg pardon.
I think, John, that a lot of that comes with some success. If you're starting to swing the bat better, you don't mind taking a few pitches. When you're going bad, it's like, let me get that first one so that I don't get in a hole and worry about striking out again. Let me put the first one in play. So you don't mind whatever the count may dictate to you if you're going good.
So Upton is down on strikes to start the game. Here's Andrelton Simmons. Andrelton slotted between Upton and Freeman on the lineup card. Dice K jumps ahead of him.
And he's got everything. Low 90s fastball. Throws a lot of cutters, splits, slider, curve.
You need 2 hands if you're a catcher giving him signals.
Squibbed back to the mound. And Dice K will take care of Simmons with the second out. He was a huge star in the Japanese leagues, as you know. And the Boston Red Sox won a big bidding war just for the right to negotiate a contract with Dice K. They paid what's called a posting fee to the Japanese leagues. That posting fee was $51 million. They paid $51 million to win the right to try to sign him to a then $52 million contract.
And then came the philosophical debate and kind of differences. Dice K liked to throw about 240 pitches in a bullpen.
Really?
Literally throw like a lot. And that's what they do over there. And Boston was slowly but surely trying to tweak it for obvious reasons.
And right off the bat handle, Freeman rolls out to second, and Dice K gets the Braves in order. 1, 2, 3 in a scoreless first inning. We're underway on a hot night in Atlanta. In a happy spot in the National League East. Let's check out our DirecTV National League East standings. The Nationals won last night. The Braves won last night. And suddenly Atlanta and Washington fellas have opened up a 5 or 5.5 game lead over the third place Marlins in the division.
Miami's had a tough time of it. They've lost 4 in a row, and that's why there's been a little gap between the top 2 teams. Miami's lost 7 of their last 10 overall.
But I think ultimately this division in the beginning of the year was going to be between 2 teams, and that's what it should shape out to be, between the Braves and the Nationals. Marlins did a great job in the beginning.
Lucas Duda takes a strike, another left-handed bat for the Mets. As Duda starts off the second. We'll keep you up to date on the scores tonight. Washington's hosting Colorado. The Phillies are in Miami. Both those games just underway.
Well, you're talking about the standings in the division. Everybody owes themselves a chance to read that story today out of Washington. Is it the Washington Post, Chip, that Thomas Boswell writes for?
Yes. Wow, what an article.
Read that story on Bryce Harper. What a piece of work that guy is.
Bryce Harper was asked before the game yesterday about Matt Williams' lineup, and he said, I think our best lineup has Zimmerman in left, Rendon at third, Espinosa at second, and ostensibly Bryce Harper in center. Harper then said, but look, I'm not the manager. He's got the pen. There's nothing I can do about where I hit. He batted 6th last night. He wants to bat higher in the order. So what Boswell said, so in essence, Harper's saying we had 3 guys out of position. His teammates shouldn't be playing center. He should be. And he found out about it on Twitter instead of directly from the manager. This from a guy who missed 57 games and is just back from injury. Ground ball to the right side. Freeman will get Duda unassisted. 1 out.
Well, I think that was the point that the writer was making, is that Bryce Harper hasn't been on the field. You know, he's been hurt for 2-3 years off and on, and that his comments were something you might hear from a 10 or 12-year veteran who is accustomed to playing every day. And this guy's really not done enough to earn that kind of nonsense.
Well, and that he may be very well right, but it doesn't matter. You don't make those comments. I mean, he might be right. And I think the thing is, in Washington, the speculation from abroad and in the analysts who try to predict things and try to figure out things when you're looking at a baseball season and dissecting teams, the one common theme that keeps coming up from the Washington Nationals is, what is their clubhouse like? Is there fragments that cause in 162 games that team to not fulfill their potential? Everyone agrees they have a lot of talent, and it started really with the handling of Strasburg in the first chance that they had to go in the playoffs.
Chris Young pops one up, shallow center. La Stella out. B.J. Upton in. B.J. takes over. Good communication, good result.
And I will openly say that they poorly mismanaged that. And whatever decision they had to make, they could have made it without coming out and saying they were doing this. So that fragmented the team a little bit. Then next year, everyone assumed, well, they're going to be back. They're going to win the division. They're going to go to the playoffs because they got everybody back plus Strasburg. Didn't happen. So you couple that with this year now with a new manager and trying to figure out the heartbeat of a team and what's going on. And early on, you could see Matt Williams was going to set his tone by saying, I'm not going to allow certain players to do certain things, and sat down Bryce Harper.
Yeah, he pulled him out of a game.
Yeah,
right. for not hustling. Right. Well, Harper is in the lineup for them tonight, and he is playing left field tonight for Washington.
I hope he's batting higher in the order. I really do, so that he doesn't go home and cry on his pillow.
But, you know, I don't think the casual fan understands what that means over a course of 162 games. The intangibles in baseball go a long way. I know we have metrics and statistics that measure how a player does on the field or his potential. There's nothing that measures the continuity of a club, the manager who has got the heartbeat of his ball club. And those things can have a carryover effect and affect a team over that length of time.
I just can't imagine what it would have shown up on the Richter scale if somehow Bobby Cox didn't call in a player to tell him where he's batting and when he's playing when he comes back from the disabled list, and then to have that kind of reaction.
Well, I can
that
tell
comes
you
out in the paper, it would have been seismic.
Yeah. Well, I could tell you, having personal experience with one particular reliever going into his office, Bobby's office, and asking what his role was. That didn't go very well. Nobody ever asked what their role was again.
3 balls, 2 strikes. And Travis d'Arnaud is down swinging. Mike Minor has his 3rd strikeout of the night. He's allowed 1 hit, no runs. Good start for Mike, who hasn't won since May 19th. It's time for Mike tonight in Game 2 of the series.
AT&T Uverse, Delta Airlines, and Ford.
Braves are up for the home 2nd inning tonight in Atlanta, while the Mets continue to get loose for the 2nd inning. All of us with the Braves want to send along our condolences to the family of Frank Cashin, longtime general manager of the New York Mets, who passed away Monday. He was a terrific baseball man and was the architect of those really entertaining New York Mets teams, including that great one that they had in '86.
Great baseball guy and a wonderful GM for a couple of different teams, but most recognized for his work in New York.
During the 1980s, according to a great story, if not obituary, I guess, really wasn't an obituary, but a wonderful story recapping Cashin's Mets career. People forget in the 80s, the Mets regularly outdrew the Yankees and set attendance records at Old Shea Stadium, topping 3 million fans twice. I mean, they were the premier team in New York at that time.
They've got a better ballpark now.
Yeah,
in my opinion. They just had a few more players.
Darryl Strawberry, Dwight Gooden, Keith Hernandez, Ron Darling, Bobby Ojeda. The list goes on and on. So, again, our sympathies to the Cashin family. He will be missed as Justin Upton starts the Atlanta 2nd. And out of play.
Justin just did something. Sorry, Chip. The way Matsuzaka pauses at the top of his windup for however long he wants to pause up there in the windup. If you're already set in your stance, you've got a little bit of a wait. And it looked like Justin was really timing it and waiting to the last second right there to get his hands into a position to swing. That's a good idea.
There's Keith Hernandez. Really excited about the Mets. He came over from the Cardinals and really transformed that Mets clubhouse. And Upton chased one that was dancing into the left-handed batter's box. Dice K with a sweeping breaking ball has his 2nd strikeout, and he's retired the first 4 in order.
He has several different breaks, as we talked about, needing 2 different hands to give him all the pitches. But finishing up that story, as we look at this sweeping slider, breaking ball that really cuts across the plate, is Boston was concerned about all the pitches and all the amount of times that he would throw, and from time that he would prepare for a bullpen, it was well into the 200 mark. So the combination of give and take and that unbelievable kind of misleading 18-3 record he had that one year, where it didn't statistically add up, I think then became the fallout between the two, and of course then he ends up getting hurt, the Tommy John surgery.
Did one thing lead to another?
Not sure. I think the fact that he just could not command the baseball on a consistent basis was going to add up. That 18-3 wasn't going to continue at that rate. You can have a misleading year, but I don't think you can continue to have those kind of years. And his ball that he was so good at moving was starting to spin in the middle of the plate. But very well, they have Tommy Johns over in Japan and Korea and all that, but you don't hear about them because they don't make it. Those are almost by attrition. That's what they almost do. They keep throwing to find out who's got the arms to keep pitching, and they have a different custom. But granted, they pitch once a week, but they throw nonstop. So the argument is, well, do they have Tommy John surgeries? They do. You just don't hear about them. The ones that survive it and the ones that pitch beyond and come over here have
been able to avoid it.
Yeah.
Well, you know why you don't hear about the Tommy John surgery in Japan? It's because they call it Hideo Nomo surgery over there.
I knew something was bubbling.
Yeah, you could see it working. It
was, it was percolating.
Yeah. Sorry, Braves country, couldn't resist. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Bases empty for Hayward. And a ground ball to Tejada. Glove, grab, and gun to first, and that's the second out.
But it's interesting because even with some of the pitchers like Hugh Darvish, who was pitching with Texas, he has gotten closer to American style pitching now. Whereas before, he would throw so many pitches. And I found out that the highest honor for a pitcher over there was a 3-2 strikeout. So you'd see a lot of pitches that it would get to 3-2, and that's why Hugh Darvish throws about 75% breaking balls on a 3-2 count. But that was like the ultimate respect for a pitcher if you could strike a guy out on a 3-2 pitch.
Interesting.
For whatever reason.
That is interesting. Never heard of that.
And then the other thing that was not normal for a pitcher or a player was to speak openly with a manager. Over there, you just don't do that. And so with Washington, I remember him talking about when they got to a better relationship is when he said, "Tell me what you feel." And Hugh Darvish was, "Really? I mean, I can say whatever I feel to him," and it let his guard down. It was like viewed as disrespectful over there to say anything to a manager.
That's shot past Duda and into right field. That's the first Braves hit of the game. I think that's an interesting point to follow up on. I think that's one of the things our game has to do a better job of, and that's bridging the cultural divides in baseball. Yes, it's our national pastime, but with all the players coming from different countries, different cultures, different parts of the world, points like that are things that I think we as Americans would take for granted because we don't know how they play the game in Japan or the Dominican or Mexico or Venezuela.
And I think that's why when some cultural things come over here, whether it be via celebrating things that we wouldn't celebrate as wildly, as aggressively, there's a kind of turn off against it. And I grew to appreciate, even though I don't like the concept of the World Games or the World Baseball Classic, I grew to appreciate the fever pitch for which they play it at. Because to some of those countries, that's all they have.
Runner goes. The pitch is strike. The throw is into center field. If they've been playing Chris there, they'd had him by a mile. So he's in safely. And Johnson at second with 2 out.
Darno came into this series throwing out 22% of base stealers. That's pretty good percentage of caught stealing. He got a break last night on the replay that overturned a safe call on B.J. Upton, but this was not even in the same area code.
Well, Tommy's been a run producer, hitting 7th. Let's see if he can bring home Johnson with 2 outs. Won't have a chance. He got hit by a pitch. That sounded solid.
Boy, it did. It popped. Was it his foot or knee?
Chaser.
Oh, ankle.
Right below the ankle bone. Or hopefully it is below the ankle bone.
Assistant athletic trainer Jim Lovell out to talk to LaStella. He says he's good to go, or as good as he's going to be. And he'll stand at first with 2 outs. A single, a stolen base, and a hit batsman. And here's Bethancourt.
Lovey got a haircut. Jim Lovell told him if he'd just let us know where he got it cut, you and I'd go down there, John, and beat the tar out of that guy.
I got no comment from me. I just like the 1.5 guard, please.
That's right. You talked about that last time. Base hit up the middle for Bethancourt. Here comes Johnson around third. Lagares has his throw cut off. And LaStella will stay in a rundown between second and third. And at last the Mets will chase him down. So Bethancourt jumps on the first pitch he sees, and he picks up an RBI. That's his first in the big leagues, and it gives Atlanta a 1-0 lead after 2.
There's a time and place to make the 3rd out at 3rd. Here's a sharply hit base hit. And if you're the Mets, you're glad you get the out. But if you're the Braves, you're glad that LaStella drew the throw, because the pitcher's up next, which means it's more important to get the run than it is to extend the inning. So in this case, LaStella does a great job to make sure that that run scores by drawing the cutoff, and then of course eventually getting him in a run out. And I'm with you, Joe. If you're the Mets, I think you got to play at the plate, and the pitcher coming up next would be worth the risk.
I definitely thought they had to play on Chris because the ball didn't get very deep. Lagares charged it, got rid of it quickly, and his throw was on line.
So a milestone hit for Bethancourt, his first big league RBI, and for the first time this year, Daisuke Matsuzaka allowed a hit with a runner in scoring position and 2 outs this season.
That's right.
So Atlanta leads by a run for Mike Minor. Lagares, Daisuke, and Granderson coming up in the third. The Mets signed Lagares as a non-drafted free agent way back in 2006. He's 25 years old. And what was a disappointing year for the Mets outfield was a real find for them. And that one's hit toward Minor at the mound. Close play at first and not in time. Lagares beats the wrap.
He had a slight pause once he fielded it. I don't know if he had a hard time getting it in his hand or why he had that pause, but that's what cost him.
Well, part of that is he did have trouble getting his hand, but also Chris Johnson being right there. Now the left-hander's going to turn and throw over Chris Johnson as he's ducking. Don't know if that delay as well had anything to do, but he got there in plenty of time, and I think the bobble right there just kind of cost him a combination of the both. As a right-hander, you're going to turn the other way, and Chris Johnson won't be in your pathway, but as a left-hander, you turn back towards first base.
Daisuke will try to sacrifice. He's done that 3 times this year.
Talked about the guys leading off innings being crucial to Mike, and that's 2 out of 3 that have reached.
There's the bunt. Here's our first chance to see Bethancourt's arm, and he fires to first in time. Sacrifice is good. Lagares in scoring position for the top of the order.
It's one thing as a pitcher, I made it like my personal goal to never let anybody bunt on me. To me, that was, I wanted to take away both angles of a bunt. It got so fun in our competition with Brett Butler. I told him, if you ever bunted on me, you get a dinner. But you got to be prepared when you're facing those guys to anticipate that and make sure that you can get to that angle quicker.
And if you're anticipating a guy like Brett Butler or a leadoff type hitter, then you're better prepared for it. It's when those guys like Gerald Laird, that just sneak up on you.
Exactly.
How could a guy with 43 bunts sneak up on you anymore?
I don't know.
Third baseman playing back, more than likely.
1-1 for Granderson. He singled to start the game, and he drives this one deep toward right. Long run Hayward, and he's going to watch that one sail into the seats. So left-hand hitters continue to be a problem for Mike Minor. That, though, the first he's allowed to a lefty hitter. And Granderson hits his second homer of the series, and the Mets have jumped in front 2-1.
Granderson has 2 big holes. They're down and way up. Anything in between those two, he has that prototypical pull home run. That thing's right down the middle, and of course it's a quick strike swing for the Grandy man, as they called him in New York, the other place, and you just got to be able to find the 2 quadrants that he has a very, very slim chance of getting a hit at.
2-1 New York in the top of the third for Tejada. He struck out his first time. Well, I think that lefty-lefty matchup thing is worth following, not just the rest of this game, but the rest of the season for Mike. I mean, from 212 to almost 370 from one season to the next is a shocking development for Mike.
I wonder if he's even aware of it. And if you ask him,
sure he
if he said, yeah, I've been having a difficult time throwing glove side to lefties or getting my breaking ball to glove side.
Now, I know, John, you've talked a lot about where a pitcher stands on the mound and how that relates to his stuff.
Right.
He's on the extreme third base side of the rubber. Would that warrant a change against lefties for Mike?
Well, what happens is you're typically, again, I would say not across the board 100%. You're pitching on that side because you have a fastball that sinks or moves. Mike doesn't really have that. He has more of a straighter fastball. Every once in a while he can ride it. So I would think that third base side of the rubber would have an impact for him on his changeup more so against right-handers. Because let's face it, he's going to face more right-handers than he does left-handers. So occasionally you're going to have a lineup where 2 or 3 left-handers are in there. Because I don't care what managers see left-handers hitting off you. It's hard to really say, well, let's load him up with left-handers.
Yeah.
Just not going to do it. So I think what he's done is said, this is my best chance against right-handers to pitch on this side of the rubber because the way that the ball comes out of my hand. He's just going to have to find better breaking balls to the left-hander. The feel is, okay, he's throwing it in to throw it away, like we talked about, the angles. But he just hasn't had the quality break and change of speeds in the last couple starts that would give him separation between his fastball and those secondary pitches, which you got to have as a starting pitcher. He'll get them. He'll get the touch back.
So you're not advocating that Mike move from one side of the rubber to the other?
Again, only a select few can do that. You would think every pitcher could do it. It's not that easy. I mean, you're changing so much that it really does affect. I mean, I remember in spring training, I remember this like it was yesterday. It was a spring training game facing the Tigers in Lakeland, and I knew I was only going to be in there 2 innings, and the mound was so bad that I didn't want to wait to have them fix where I typically would throw, so I just moved. And I threw a pitch against, I think it was Jose Guillen, or not Jose Guillen, whatever the shortstop was.
Oh, yeah.
And he had a line drive off my collarbone. Literally knocked me, thought I broke my collarbone.
Little looper into center, and LaStella couldn't get it.
But the point is, that changing on the rubber changed dramatically the pitch that I was throwing, and ended up having to pull it to an area rather than throw it to an area, and it almost cost me dearly.
Oh, man. Tommy got hit in the foot with that pitch, and it cost him in the rundown because they never would have caught him.
Right.
Now it cost him on the jump.
But on the flip side, there are guys like Adam Wainwright. He does that sneaky. He does change on particular hitters and what he wants to do. And as long as you do it sneaky and you practice it, it's doable. But to just say that you can do it on a given spurt or moment because you're struggling against left-handers, that's something you better feel real good about your bullpen.
Fly ball headed for left center field, but B.J. Upton got a good jump. He retires Murphy on the first pitch. And Tejada's back to first with 2 out.
Well, that's good. It took him 11 pitches or something in the first inning to get Murphy, so it's averaging out.
And here's Campbell. He struck out to end the first. A 2-run Granderson homer here in the 3rd inning for the Mets.
I didn't think that home run pitch to Granderson was what I would consider up, but it certainly wasn't down either.
No, that's right. Yeah.
But if you were having trouble on any given night getting the ball down, it just everything's sailing up, or your slider was up, what did you try to do?
I tried to think quicker with my arm, and that, again, we already talked about with Mike Minor what that transition's like. There's a couple components to that. When you're late with your fastball, you're going to probably up and tail. When you're quick, sometimes you'll spike it. So in between, finding that rhythm, getting out and doing those 8 pitches that you are awarded before the inning starts is key sometimes. But I think the biggest thing is what you do in between. He hasn't bounced a curveball yet. You got to bounce it.
Right.
You got to change the eye level of a hitter in different ways, and he hasn't bounced one yet. They've rolled in there. And where he's got a tight cutter / slider, he'll like to backdoor it against right-handers or throw it away against left-handers. He's just an inch off on his fastball, slider, changeup to where now a hitter's fouling those pitches off, whereas when he's going good, they're either making outs or swinging and missing. That's the difference between pitch recognition for hitters.
A bullet up the middle by Campbell.
So if they're not afraid of something breaking or velocity or some kind of trick pitch, they're going to be more comfortable in the box, especially if you don't go in and out. And so for Mike Minor, that's what he's battling right now. Location, change of spin and break in pitches. The fastball and changeup probably are looking too close together. There's not enough separation. He throws a harder changeup, and when it's good, it fades, like we saw him strike out, I think, Arnaud on it. And when his breaking ball is breaking, we'll see some in the dirt. And when you're in a left-hander mode, when you're struggling, you see space that you normally don't see because you're facing a lot of right-handers. That's a much better break. That ball is down. It has tighter spin. This was an aggressive curveball that started in the strike zone and broke away. The hitter sees it as a strike. That's why he goes after it.
And that hitter is Lucas Duda, who's 0 for 1. And back-to-back strikes for Mike.
Yeah, so now he slowed him down with a breaking ball. That's a tighter slider / cutter. And now he can do whatever he wants. I'd love to see him spike a curveball down and see if he can get him to swing outside the strike zone a little bit more. Perfect.
It was perfect. 3 pitches takes care of Lucas Duda. Maybe Mike is back on the beam, but not before the Mets tally 2 runs on 4 hits. Curtis Granderson's 12th homer, the big blow. And New York enjoys its first lead, 2-1. Hitting Minor, BJ, and Anderson Simmons are coming up. Fans take advantage of this great deal tonight only. Get 4 outfield tickets to see the Braves and Padres Sunday, July 27th. And you'll get 4 Hank Aaron jersey shirts, all for just $96. Dress like a Hall of Famer and come early to watch Maddox, Glavine, and Cox be inducted into Cooperstown on Braves Vision. That's cool. Beth Marshall is standing by for your call right now. Call her at 404-577-9100.
So wait a minute. Do you dress like a Hall of Famer? Is it pertinent to like Greg Maddux? Because we already saw how he dresses.
Yeah, if you've got a moose sweater,
you got something that you don't care what you look like. That would be Hall of Famer. Or if you got preppy stuff, you would dress
like a belt with whales on it. For Tom Glavine.
I'm pretty sure that's the only sweater in the world that has 2 moose on the front.
Maybe the last one I want to see.
Yeah, good point. That's a great deal, though. The Padres will be in town.
Yeah.
4 Hank Aaron jersey shirts and 4 tickets. As Tejada has to unload quickly to get Mike Minor, and he does. There's the first out. Hopefully the Braves will have good luck against the Padres. Again, Atlanta in a stretch where they really have an easy schedule, if you believe in that such stuff, until July 28th. A lot of teams under 500 will be the Braves' opponents until we get to August. So this is laying out there for the Braves to seize the day.
And I believe in it when it's closer. When it was 2 months ago and you look at the schedule, you don't know. But when these teams are coming in and they're struggling like they are, then you know that, hey, this schedule could really work out in our advantage, and you just got to seize the moment and make sure you put yourself in that position.
And don't play down to the level of competition. Do not relax.
Nothing in one for BJ. Little tapper. Dice-K to his right. Spins and fires to first. Good play. 2 out. I didn't play in the big leagues. Only dreamed of doing it. Is that something that subconsciously happens over the course of a season? You just sort of,
I'll tell you what.
Hey, Team A's here. We should be able to beat these guys without much trouble.
To each their own. I'll tell you how I thought. And I didn't always like the way I thought. When the guy was 0 for 21, I was scared to death of him. Sooner or later, I felt like he was going to get a hit. Whereas that's what some of the guys, I can't wait to face that guy. I'd rather face the guy that was 10 for 12 because I figured it's got to turn the other way. But to your point, I think the one thing that ball clubs do well, winning ball clubs, they take advantage of the teams that are struggling. They're waiting for their teams waiting to lose.
Yes.
And I think it goes through cycles like that where you find ways to lose. And we saw a perfect example of that last night.
But good teams can also go through tough segments of their schedule. For example, the Braves road trip. Now, I understand that Houston was part of that road trip, and the Phillies have not been playing well.
Campbell didn't field that one well. It was scorched. He played it off to the side, and Simmons will reach with 2 outs.
I'm putting something down. I don't care what the official score marks. I'm making a stand.
It's base hit.
Okay, then he got it right.
But after coming through off a really tough road trip, I think it would have been easy for the Braves to come home against the Mets and say, boy, I'm glad we're home. And we got the New York Mets.
Well, and that was the case last night. I mean, it was a game that was easily lost.
And as we had said, the Mets play the Braves as tough as anybody in baseball, no matter what the circumstances.
I'll tell you the other thing that runs the course, because particular to what your spring training, like I remember all those years we were in West Palm Beach and we played the Expos 5,000 times. We shared the complex with them. You get during the season, you're like, man, we're going to play these guys again. I mean, you get in that mode. You could face a team so much and have that history work a little bit against you, in the sense that.
Well, I remember Pete Van Wieren saying many times he thought that close proximity to the Expos took all the magic out of any fear they had of the Braves.
Yeah.
As good as the Atlanta team was, they saw them so much in spring training, they didn't think they were any big deal. We can play with them, and as a result, gave the Braves fits.
I think Dice-K wanted that pitch from Dale Scott and didn't get it. Now Freeman's way ahead. 2 balls, no strikes.
But can you imagine if Washington doesn't win those last 2 games in the series in Washington, what they're talking about? Every day they're going to have to answer the questions leading up to the series. The Braves have owned you the last 2 years, and at least those last 2 games for them, they can save a little. But I'm telling you, it plays on your mind when you have to deal with it on a daily basis and answer questions. The year that Rockies broke in, and that run we had against them is unexplainable.
Yeah. 3 balls and a strike.
Is that like 18 in a row or 18 in a row?
Something like that, maybe. Yeah,
some crazy.
I was going to say 18-1, but
we didn't lose that one year. It was crazy.
Right, there was a goose egg. You're right.
Let's see what Freeman gets with a 3-1 pitch.
It's played by Justin in the on-deck circle. Rarely see that. Pulls the ball from a left-hander right to him, one hand.
Justin will be next. 2-1 Mets. We're in the 3rd. Freddy has done great work against the Mets. He's knocked in 9 runs in the first 7 games head-to-head with New York this year. Runner goes, and there's a high fly hammered deep toward left. Young on the run, not going to get there. It's off the fence and dropped on the warning track. Here comes Simmons around to score, and the game is tied 2-2.
Freddy Freeman doing his best Chipper Jones imitation again against the Mets. Just missed a homer. And if Chris Young is able to handle that ball off the wall, he got a little too close to the wall to be able to play it cleanly. If he plays it cleanly, they might have had a play on Anderson.
Well, I was just going to say his speed actually cost him because he got there too fast. Now, if he wasn't as fast getting there, he would have played the carom, and I don't know that that run could have scored. But because he tried to make that catch, which you obviously are trying to do as an outfielder, he did get too close to the wall.
So the Braves have scored runs in each of the last 2 innings. And now another chance for Upton with a runner in scoring position and 2 out. And way outside.
And another 2-out RBI off of Dice K. Good rally by the Braves here with 2 out, nobody on.
That used to just grind me to no end. With a runner on first, now granted he's got a running start, okay, so most doubles he's going to score, but 2 outs, you figure two hits got to score you. Just keep it away from the gaps. And those 2-out doubles, or every once in a while triples, used to just grind me to no end, because you knew if you make a pitch, you don't put yourself in that situation. Two-out RBIs are backbreakers. You can't live by them. Like, you can't win a season based on 2-out RBIs, but they have so much more value, even though it just is a run, because the effect it has on the pitcher, and of course the offense feels, gosh, we just, we stole one or we got one. And when you can feed off that and get those from time to time, it's bigger than just the RBI that's given to you in the course of a game.
Well, if you want, we can go back to what we talked about last night about the top of the order, and that BJ has been doing a great job of getting on base since he's been put in there, and that it would be nice if Anderson started adjusting his swing a little bit,
right,
to adjust to being a 2-hole hitter. Well, with 2 out, he got on, pulled the ball hard, got on, and Freddie drove him in from first.
And a 4-pitch walk chases Upton to first base, and now Jason Hayward hits. And your point really well taken, Joe. Last night you look at Freeman's line. He walked 3 times. He flied out to left twice. One of them was a sac fly. He didn't have a hit in the game, but he still drove in 2 runs because Upton was on twice, because Simmons was on twice ahead of him.
They have a tremendous amount of respect for him. They don't want to pitch to him in RBI situations. Even walked him unintentionally with the bases loaded to force in a run.
3 straight Braves have reached with 2 outs. And now Hayward hits.
Hit a breaking ball.
That was a low strike call.
Yeah, that's a tough one there. I mean,
PNC pitch tracks below the line. Right on it. A couple of good swings last night for Jason, including a double going the other way.
Broken bat. The barrel ends up bouncing off the top of the Braves dugout and into the seats.
That was a perfect place for it to land, too. Gave everybody a chance to head for cover. Talk about some force and some strength to have that bat snap and be thrown that far.
I wasn't good enough to ever break a bat like that.
Did you ever break one?
Yeah, I messed up and broke Chipper's bat, which I didn't think was possible. And he had a big old streak going. Yeah, it was ugly.
Why?
Apologize, Chipper.
Why?
He had the best barrel of the bat to bunt with. Plus, if I got lucky, I could get a home run.
We'll have to talk more about that as Murphy gets his man on a close play at first. But the Braves with a couple of hits and a base on balls after 2 are out. Freddy Freeman with an opposite field double drives home Hamilton Simmons for his 44th RBI. Game tied 2-2. We go to the 4th.
Work a walk, and sometimes I'll be swinging at the first pitch and getting a hit on it. It just depends. You know, sometimes it might have to get a sac fly or move the runner over, hit a ground ball. You know, I think a lot of key at bats. I think the biggest key in that last night's at bat was Ryan Domit's walk, and I think that's what a good at bat is. You know, he worked it and got it to another hitter, and you just got to keep the line moving. And I think that's the key to a good at bat.
Talking to Freddy Freeman before the game about what makes a good at bat for him. If you look at last night, I know you guys have talked about it. He had to take 3 walks, had a sac fly, and then picking up that double. And I think what you would definitely call a good at bat this past inning to tie the game. Worked a full count, knocked it all the way to the wall. Freddy Freeman proving what a valuable weapon he is in this lineup.
So Joe and John, we know how a hitter thinks what a good at bat is. From a pitcher's standpoint, how do you evaluate an opponent's at bat as being good or not, besides the obvious result?
Well, for me, it was a guy's ready to hit. If he fouls off great pitches, if he takes advantage of bad pitches, if he makes you work at everything you have to do as a starting pitcher, and he doesn't take anything for granted or give you freedom to do like strike one. I think what makes Freddy Freeman so tough is that even though he's an aggressive hitter, he does draw walks. He does make a pitcher pay for not executing 3 really quality pitches. Some hitters, you only have to make 1 good pitch. For great hitters and good hitters like Freddy Freeman, you have to make 3 and sometimes 5 quality pitches.
Chris Young starts the 4th for the Mets, and Minor got him. Might have been the changeup. And that's Mike's 5th strikeout, and 2 in a row tonight, 1 away.
Mike's strikeouts are kind of like Alex Wood's. Alex Wood's last night, in that they kind of sneak up on you. They kind of grow as the game goes along because he starts getting a better feel for his changeup. His fastball becomes a little more effective because he uses it more. And here is Mike with 5 to start the 4th inning already.
Darno was the 3rd man he struck out. So Travis is 0 for 1.
And the growing dilemma is guys who have a track record of starting out a little bit slow. What do you do in your warm-ups? How do you alter that so that you can come out and mechanically feel better in the 1st inning? And You know, I remember Tom Glavine going through a stretch where if you were going to get him, you had to get him in the first inning, because after that he was tightening down the hatches and it wasn't going to happen. But he went through a variety of different ways to try and get ready, and I think these young players are trying to find out what that is for them. Alex Wood, he's new to the game, and he's finding out where his structure is, and probably has to throw a few more pitches before the game starts to get better locked in for him. Mike Minor, he's far enough into the game where he understands now what is working and what doesn't work for him.
Can't say enough about the job Alex Wood did last night. As that one just missed to Darno. How close was this?
Let's check it out on PNC Pitch Tracks. Close enough. That's what the pitcher would say.
Bethancourt got rocked by that foul ball. It's a full count.
But you're talking about warming up, and
yeah,
how many is too many, how many is not enough. I know you're such a perfectionist. Oh, that hurt right on the shoulder. You're such a perfectionist. Did you find yourself at times in the bullpen before a start thinking, this just doesn't feel right yet, I got to throw a few more, I'm not ready?
Luckily for me, I had at the time, Leo, I said, don't tell me. I want you to track my pitches for 3 starts. Don't tell me how many I throw. And then after 3 starts, I want to know. And they were all around the same, which was interesting, because you traditionally try to bring your pitches along. But there were times I fired the ball off the side wall in the bullpen.
Hey, what a catch by Freeman, who nearly misjudged it.
And I'm like, I'm wasting my time. I'm out of here. And I would have a good game. So there's no rhyme or reason why sometimes it would work. But yeah, I mean, you find yourself, finding different things that work for you. For me, I was 50 to 60 pitches before I go.
Little Parishnikov here by Freddy. Nicely done by the tarp.
Can you explain to me why, so many times you hear about a pitcher come out, throw a 2-hitter, 3-hitter, no-hitter, say, my warm-up was awful.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
Well, I mean, we all wish we knew that we could feel good every single time the 5th day. I can't tell you how many times the 4th day I wish I was pitching. But it just happens where your rhythm and timing of once you learn however that day went, sometimes you're stiff. Sometimes you're like, you just don't. And then it clicks, on the mound. That's why I never, after about 4 years of the big leagues, ever put any stock in my bullpen. Ever. I never concerned myself. I mean, bullpen meaning getting ready to pitch.
Lagares broke his bat, but singles with 2 outs to left field. He's 2 for 2 in the game.
Because when I realized what I was doing, I was just exercising my arm to be ready to throw the pitches that count once you cross the line. So once you get loose and you go through your routine and you're physically ready to pitch, then you put all your eggs, at least I did, all my eggs in that game and in that lineup. I didn't pitch to a lineup in the bullpen. I didn't pitch night before in my head. I literally, the guys who knew me knew I didn't care about one thing about pitching until I stepped on the mound. That's why I could be loose. I could have a conversation. I could do an interview. I didn't care. Certain guys aren't that way. You can't talk to them.
Dice K drives one to center. B.J. Upton to his right is underneath. And he's got it to retire the side. No runs, a hit. The Mets strand their 4th runner. Chris Johnson leads off the Atlanta inning, tied at 2. Great peripheral vision. Hey! Almost got him. And we move to the home fourth, tied at 2 apiece. Fans, take advantage of our great deal again tonight. Only get 4 outfield tickets to see the Braves and Padres Sunday, July 27th. And you'll get 4 Hank Aaron jersey shirts, all for $96. Dress like a Hall of Famer and come early to watch Maddox, Glavine, and Cox be inducted into Cooperstown on Braves Vision. And our representatives are standing by for your call right now. In fact, they'll be dancing in the aisles if you call 404-577-9100 now.
I've seen them dance in the aisles. It's something to see. I was thinking about last night's game and the way it turned out with respect to the 2 starting pitchers. Alex Wood got off to a rough start, but he limited them to single runs in the first 3 innings, wound up striking out 7 and only walking 1. But he was on the hook for the loss, so he escaped that. Wheeler didn't pitch great. He walked 5, only struck out 4, which is a low number for him, but he only gave up 1 run and was in line for the win, and he didn't get anything to show for it.
But both, if they let it, could have learned a lot out of each start yesterday. It's not always about dominating. It's about how you get it done when you don't have exactly your best stuff. And I would say both, to your point, did not have their best stuff. Both gave each team a chance to win.
Luis Avila in relief wanted for the Braves. Familio took the loss in relief for New York with only 2 of the 4 runs he allowed as earned runs, as the Mets defense was terrible.
And he contributed to that, because you can't assume a double play, and it was a surefire double play that he threw away.
It was non-athlete.
Or relievers. I mean, that's a whole different category.
Oh, we're shifting. Okay.
I think if a pitcher commits an error, those runs should be earned runs.
I agree.
Just saying. 3 balls, no strikes. And Johnson takes 4 out of the zone and a leadoff walk. That's a good start. Chris aboard for a second time, and that's the second walk for Daisuke. As Joe said earlier, he's not afraid to put people on base. He really pitches tougher as we drone on here in the 4th.
Well done, partner. His last start came against the Pirates. He got beat 5-2, and he walked 4 in the 6 innings he worked against Pittsburgh. Gave up 5 hits on top of that and 5 runs.
Tommy La Stella is really hoping his right foot is out of play in this at bat.
He's going to have to get with Freddy Freeman and work on some of those Baryshnikov moves and get his feet out of the way. Obviously, some fans down below us came to the ballpark to count out loud and not watch the game.
It's kind of refreshing to hear it forward and not backwards. Tommy La Stella takes a little low. He's our Georgia lottery hitting the jackpot.
He's really bounced back after a rough 11 games. And again, as we talked about last night, he's got more aggressive with his swing, attacking it a little more, and he's had good results.
That's a lot that the Braves put on his shoulders on the road trip, too. What do you think, Joe? And here he is, just up from the minor leagues. First month, started batting down in the order. Then, because the Braves were trying some things at the top of the order, they tried him at the leadoff spot.
You know what? What surprised me was that he had never hit leadoff before. At least he claimed that he hadn't, even in the minor leagues. That surprised me. Batting second, he had done that, but he hadn't let off. And if you haven't led off before, it is a little bit of responsibility, or you feel like it is when you haven't even been in the big leagues a month. People are expecting you to try to get something started.
He's knocked in his share of runs out of the 7th spot. 14 RBIs for LaStella. And a bouncing ball toward Duda at first. And by sending the runner, that takes away any chance at a double play. And Tommy's out at first, but a productive out. He moves Johnson up into scoring position.
But when you think about leadoff hitters, and I know that has changed in this game because the stolen base, although trying to make a comeback, you think of Gordon, Hamilton. There just is a lot more teams that have prototypical leadoff guys than the Braves have not had in quite some time. And so if you've never been in that position, you don't really know how that's supposed to play out other than see the ball hit the ball and hopefully get on base a lot.
Is that a product of how the game's changed?
Let me just address that real quick, Chip, and that has to do with the learning process and the experience. If you're a guy like Rafael Furcal, we heard about Rafael 2-3 years before he got to the big leagues as a speedster, a guy who stole 90-some bases one year in the minor leagues. When you're leading off and you know that that's what your job is going to be, and you're taught in the minor leagues what you've got to do to get on base in order to steal bases, you become pretty darn good at it if you put the ball in play and if you can bunt. And he could.
But then the game changed.
It did.
And we all know why. And that risk-averse style of play, we don't want to run into a potential out in a stolen base because everybody 1 through 8 in the lineup can hit the ball out of the ballpark,
so to speak. Yeah,
right. The prototypical Vince Coleman, Willie McGee, Rafael Furcal leadoff guy kind of went the way of the dodo in the game.
But I'm telling you that way would still win today.
It won last night.
Still win today.
It won last night. You know, that's what we talked about in our pregame comments last night at the halfway mark, virtually the halfway mark, that the Braves, as sexy as all the home runs are that the Braves hit, in order to win this division, they're going to have to do a better job of scoring runs without benefit of homers, and they did so last night.
2 balls and a strike for Bethancourt. And I think that's the criticism of the offense. It's been when they hit home runs, they win. When they don't hit home runs, they don't win.
Well, I don't know if you guys remember the game Baseball Stars by Nintendo, but basically you could create any team you wanted. You could have a fast team, defensive team, pitching team, power team. And I can remember every single year growing up playing these games, playing this league, that the fast team drove everybody crazy because you could pitch around sluggers. And even in an unrealistic Nintendo game, it was the most realistic version of the St. Louis Cardinals, the teams that didn't need to hit a ton of home runs. And yes, over the course of 162 games, power plays, and it's nice and it's fun and it's instant gratification. But when the playoffs come, you don't see that formula as successful.
Bethancourt thought it was high. Instead, he's called out. He won't say much to Dale Scott. He'll want that pitch for Mike Minor later. Freddy Gonzalez looks on in disbelief. 2 out.
You can see Fox Track says that it was a strike. I agree, it looked high, but according to the grid there, it's at the top of the zone.
Famous backup slider that Dice K used to throw a lot. They had a name for it. Was it
the gyro ball
or whatever?
Minor, a base hit with 2 outs. Here comes Johnson around third. Lagares' throw is late. Mike Minor helps himself with an RBI hit. Dice K had not allowed a hit all year with a runner in scoring position and 2 outs. He's allowed 2 of them tonight. 1 to Bethancourt, the 8th place hitter, and now the Atlanta pitcher.
Perfect opportunity to jump on a first pitch fastball. And I tell you, when the pitcher was up and a runner in scoring position, never assume. Mike Minor's got to feel good. Hopefully now he can protect that.
That's a crusher. That's a crusher. You just made a good pitch, got the call anyway to get a strikeout, and you think, okay, now I can get out of the inning.
So we'll get a quick drink of water while Dan Warthen talks it over with Dice K.
Oh, that was Drew Carey. Drew Carey had gone out to the mound.
So here are the Braves all of a sudden, guys. 3 runs on 5 hits, 2 walks. They've gotten a hit batsman. That's helped turn the lineup around. And now it goes back to the top, and B.J. Upton, who looks for his first hit of the game. 3-2 Braves in game 2, home 4th.
Oh, this is a perfect opportunity to steal a base if you're Mike Minor. Golly. I would have a little nod Bobby would give me. Runner wouldn't hold me on. He'd look over and go, okay, you can do it. I get so excited, and I get that jelly leg because I wanted to go so quickly to second base. But here's a great opportunity, but I don't know what's going to happen. They're just giving you second.
Now that surprises me. How many times on our broadcast did we hear Bobby Cox screaming from the top step when you athletes would make rare contact to the plate and start jogging down the first base line on a batted ball? Bobby would yell, easy.
Oh yeah, well once you knew it was an out, but once you're at first, man, go get him. I got some stolen bases. Check them out.
Yeah, we're going to need to do that.
All right, I'll let you know then later what it was. Got 3, but I got hosed on 2 calls.
Oh, here we go. Come
we didn't have instant replay then. I was safe.
Come on.
Said I slid past the bag.
Oh.
I got one in the postseason.
Who had more, you, Maddox, or Glavine?
Come on, it can't be Wooden Ankles.
Can't be Wooden Ankles.
No.
We're going to have Dave check. You better have more than.
Maddox would run, though. He would take off once in a while.
It'd be early in his career.
Glavine had 1.
Yeah.
Maddox had 11.
Yeah, early in his career.
Well, you had an early part of your career,
Look,
too.
I know, and I was the official pinch runner for whatever reason under Russ Nixon, and I think I've told you guys this story. I had to pinch run in San Diego. I had milk duds in my back pocket. I didn't have my spikes on. Benito Santiago's the catcher, and when he found out I didn't have spikes on when I became a pinch runner for Ozzie Virgil in the 4th inning, I got thrown out at second and ruined my milk duds.
Base hit to right for B.J. Upton. Look at Mike run the bases. He'll make it to third base easily.
That could have been an RBI.
So it's an 8-game hitting streak for B.J. Upton since moving to the #1 spot.
And he went the other way. Good piece of hitting. Good at bat. You were talking about the team you made up on your Nintendo game.
Yep.
There was a team like that in Oakland when I was still playing that drove everybody crazy under Billy Martin. They played in the Oakland Coliseum, huge ballpark. They hit their share of homers, but they had Ricky Henderson at the top of their order. But they had a lineup full of guys that could all run. And Billy Martin, they didn't play stupid, but they ran, hit and ran, bunted, and put you on such edge defensively that you were forced into mistakes that you didn't normally make. And you never knew when they were going to, put the sign on for one of those plays. Drove you crazy.
Now B.J. runs. Darno fakes a throw to second, and Upton steals the base without a throw.
Seriously, there's only one guy in the history of the game that could defy the stolen bases, and that was Greg Maddux. They stole on him at will, and he literally pitched around it. Nobody else can. It's a very difficult thing to put pressure on a pitcher and a defense constantly. And you know what? I think we all see hitters slump. Speed doesn't slump. Can't steal first base. I get it.
So a hit by Simmons could make it a big inning for the Braves. Upton, Minor, the runners, and downstairs, even count.
But to finish that story, I was seriously scolded. I was told to have my spikes on from the 5th inning on. So I was kicking back, having some milk duds in San Diego, enjoying things, and I had my turf shoes on. And when he said, "Go pinch run," I panicked.
I could just see the yard sale of milk duds between first and second base bag.
I'm just glad that he wasn't kind of dropping milk duds as he ran, because
hey, I did not want to.
Padres may wonder why he was so nervous.
I did not want to come back to the bench. But I had a 2-foot lead at first base.
1 ball, 2 strikes. And now 2-2.
You know, you forget I was at third base in the World Series in Toronto. Pinch ran when Otis Nixon tried to bunt against Timlin. Probably the most nervous I've ever been on the bases. Here at home.
Ground ball, throw, that's a hit. 1 run scores, here comes BJ. Young loads up, throw to the plate, late. And Simmons all the way to second base. It is a big inning for the Braves.
Maybe he relaxed after he struck out Bethencourt, because since then this game has turned around on Dice K.
And a poor decision here by Young. You got to know who's running. This throw allows Simmons to go to second base and be in scoring position again. No chance they were going to get B.J. Upton. Had a great jump, cruising into home. And those little things add up when you're losing baseball games.
He didn't have a cutoff man either. You know, he comes up throwing, the third baseman's already on the ground diving for the baseball. There's nobody to cut that throw off.
5-2 Braves as Freddy Freeman bats.
Stolen base paid off, an extra run.
Three straight 2-out hits. And downstairs, 3-run lead for the Braves in Atlanta, 3-run lead for Washington, 4th inning at Nationals Park. They're facing the Rockies.
Carlos Torres loosening up.
Opposite field shot toward Young in left. And he'll make the play to retire the side. Mike Minor, boy, with a back-breaking hit. That brought home a run. And then Andrelton Simmons followed with a 2-run scoring single. 3 straight hits for Atlanta after 2 are out. And Atlanta's lead now is 5-2. Let's see if he can put together a shutdown inning in the 5th. Granderson, Tejada, and Murphy, the hitters. That's something Joe and I talk a lot about. Your team gives you some runs, get right back after them, get them 1, 2, 3, and let your batsmen go back to work.
2 good pitches to start the inning, too. Base hit, fired him up.
Bounce it. Bounce it or higher than high. There you go. Now that changes the eyes of the hitter.
Granderson's coming to life after a very rough start in April for the Mets. 270 or so his average since May the 1st. And that just missed. Betancourt tried to frame it for Dale Scott.
Now, based on that pitch, if he wanted to go with his harder breaking ball off the plate like that slider, he might get him to chase because that pitch was so close.
High fly to right. Jason on the run, still going, and gets there at the edge of the track.
Ball really jumps off his bat, Granderson. Especially anything down.
At Yankee Stadium, that's 20 rows up.
Yeah. Does a good job of getting his bat extended, at least from what we've seen in this series. He came in 0 for his last 17, but you couldn't prove it by the Braves.
At some point in this series, they're going to have to show him in.
And a strike to Ruben Tejada. Down year last year for Ruben, who's only 24 years old. He was the starting shortstop in the season opener for a second consecutive season, but appeared, I should say, in just 57 games and hit .202. He had a right quad problem in late May and then went down to AAA, and that's where he stayed all year.
He didn't get sent down. He got exiled.
Yeah, right.
I mean, he really, I don't want to say got punished, but there were some things that went on there that with respect to him coming back where it didn't happen. They played with Omar Quintanilla virtually the whole year.
A year so far with a .240 average, a couple of homers, 17 knocked in.
Yeah, but you know, you guys were talking to Mark DeRosa the other day, Chip, in Philadelphia, and being sent down affects guys different ways. And Mark said something about Bobby Cox. He said, now Bobby Cox said some of the worst things a baseball player ever wants to hear, about how you got some things you need to work on. You got to go do this. You're not good enough right now, etc., etc. He said, but I always left feeling great driving home or knowing that I was going down, because it given me something to work on and feel good about, knowing that I wasn't going to be a forgotten man. Well, some guys go down and they pout, feel like they were somehow not treated fairly, and it becomes harder and harder to get back.
Yeah, that's what I took from Mark's conversation. It was almost like, okay, I'm going down or I'm going to the bench. Here's what I need to work on. You at least have a glimmer of hope that you might get your job back or you might come back. There can't be anything more hopeless than to be sent down to AAA on a bad team and you're sitting down there all year long waiting to get that phone call. He's got a redeemer in 2014. He's also got a one-out walk in the Mets' fifth.
That was not a good series. Yeah, that's a bad walk.
Laser Baker looked it up for me. I was wondering, because of that battle in the first inning, if Murphy was, I didn't think he was in the top 10 and toughest to fan, and he is not. He's 15th in the league. Anderson Simmons, third hardest guy to strike out.
Story in one of the papers today in New York, or maybe yesterday, about Daniel Murphy. A couple of things in play. One, a potential contract extension with the Mets. But number two, the Yankees might have an interest in this guy for their ball club. And that might be why. A high fly ball deep right field, and Hayward's not going to get that. Another long homer by a left-hand hitter. Wow. And that is the rallying cry for the Mets. Whenever they get a big hit, they wave the white towel, and they'll wave Murphy home to make it a one-run game. It's 5-4.
This is a quick swing, boys. Quick stroke. Target away, pitch, belt tied down the middle. Change up.
Yeah, that's again back to what we were talking about. You know, Tom Glavine made the change up on lefty famous for me. I mean, you rarely saw lefties throw changeups, but he was able to put it in the spots he needed to. That pitch again, talking about cutting and not doing what it needed to do. The reason it's so tough, I think, for a Mike Minor changeup against the left-handers is the way that he throws it and the result of where it comes out. Tommy had a great straight change.
Now Campbell singles for the 8th New York hit. Funny game. Mike Minor had not allowed a home run to a left-hand batter in 93 innings until Curtis Granderson took him out in the 3rd. Now he's allowed 2 homers to a left-hand hitter in his last 2 1/3 innings.
And this is not nitpicking, but when you go back and look at the video as a pitcher, you're going to go, oh man, maybe, you know, I think for his arsenal, he's got more pitches to get left-handers out. Tom didn't have a big, you know, he throw a showman's curveball every once in a while, but he didn't have the slider, curveball, changeup combination. I think sometimes, again, when you lose a little bit of release point, his fastball, curveball, slider should be good enough for left-handers. Every once in a while, throw a changeup in there if a guy's battling you, but reserve that more for right-handers.
There was a time when Mike first came up, and we talk about this a lot as Shay Simmons gets ready, about how home runs affected Mike Minor. And it seemed over the last couple of years he'd kind of grown out of that. He was able to pitch around home runs. It's kind of not been the case this year. That's 13 homers now, and this is 12th start.
Runner at first for Lucas Duda, and a strike.
And at least coming in with the majority of them, I think 9 of them were solo home runs, so you can live with that, something like that. But to your point, I think it can have some carryover effects on how you deliver your next pitches to the next batters. What does that do to you? How does that affect you? You become more aggressive? You get mad?
I think that's it with Mike, is that he is very rarely shows any emotion, and maybe that's it, that you wonder if he internalizes all this after a walk and then a homer.
Well, you said, I mean, the walk set it up. The walk gets your brain kind of like, man, it was a bad walk, and then you got a good hitter up, and then you don't follow it through with a good pitch. Next thing you know, it's now a one-run game again.
And another slugger in the box in Lucas Duda, who's 0 for 5 in the series so far. And that's off the plate. Mike has to get through this inning with the lead, qualify for the win. His last win May 19th.
been a while. Talking about the middle of May, his last 7 starts, an ERA of almost 5 over that stretch. Has pumped up his ERA to 4.73 for the year. Stop.
Top of the hour in Atlanta. Joe Simpson, John Smoltz, Jen Hildreth, Chip Carey with you from Turner Field. New York and the Braves squaring off in the middle game of the series. Atlanta led 1-0 in the second. Mets took a 2-1 lead on a Granderson homer. Braves tied it in the third. Took a 3-run lead in the fourth, but now New York with a 2-run homer by Murphy. Mets have pulled to within a run. It's a 5-4 game. And Mike is about to make his 100th pitch.
Well, as a pitcher, you know, you make a pitch, you got a chance to stay in there to get the win. You don't make a pitch, you run the risk of the manager saying, I've seen enough.
Didn't mean to. Boy, that almost picked off Young.
That'll teach you to sneak up on home plate. Get over there in the on deck circle and you'll be safe.
In the air, softly hit toward left center. That's going to drop in safely. And Campbell got a good read on that ball, and he makes his way to third easily and without a throw. And now the Mets have the tying run at third base, and still only 1 out. And that is, John, as you predicted, the end of the line for Mike Minor. 101 pitches, and he's unable to get out of the 5th inning. Mike Minor's troubles continue. 4 1/3 innings tonight. Shay Simmons will come on and try to put out the fire for the Mets. In the top of the 5th inning, they have chased Braves starter Mike Minor. Braves baseball is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. The right stuff, the low price every day. Beautiful warm night in Atlanta. I'm sure it's a great night to fly. We hope our friends at Delta Airlines are enjoying a safe, comfortable night in the air tonight. Delta is a proud sponsor of the Atlanta Braves, and we hope our pal Mac Honey is enjoying our broadcast tonight. We'll see Mac and the crew after the finale against the Diamondbacks Sunday, when we'll head to New York and Chicago before the 2014 All-Star break.
Well, Shay Simmons breaking in and now becoming a mainstay here in the bullpen. Fine work so far.
And in all kinds of situations too, John. 13 runners inherited on the year. He's allowed only 3 to go along with those numbers. He's doing a really good job.
Chris Young was tied up. That pitch was taken high. 1 ball, no strikes.
Their first look at him, so they haven't seen this baby Kimbrel bring it, and that's why he was tied up. He was very late reacting to it.
Impressive work for a youngster just up from the minor leagues. And he's got 2 on here. He missed. 2 balls, no strikes. Mets took a flyer on Chris Young, who made the All-Star team in 2010. And this one's hit high in the air toward left. Justin Upton is under, and he's got it. And there'll be no advance. He hit the cutoff man. First out recorded by Simmons. There's a soft fly out by Chris Young, who is a superstar in the making with the Diamondbacks. He hit 27 home runs, stole 28 bases that year, and hit .257.
He had a big series here that year too. Hit 3 or 4 home runs in a 3-game series. Very impressive.
But he can't bring home Campbell with the tying run. And now d'Arnaud, the catcher, who's 0 for 2, will stand in. Fouled away for a strike. We mentioned Ruben Tejada's exile to Las Vegas last year. d'Arnaud got out of the blocks very slowly for the Mets, went down to AAA, hit everything in sight, has come back to the big club, and has provided the Mets with some big hits over the last week or so. d'Arnaud was part of that huge deal that sent R.A. Dickey, Josh Tolley, and Mike Nikias to the Toronto Blue Jays for John Buck, Noah Syndergaard, and outfielder Wilmer Bucera.
Good pitch.
Seeing Simmons, I didn't realize that his arm angle was in that slot. Seeing him up close is a little bit different than seeing it on TV.
Well, really jumps out of his hand too. Not a max effort guy.
How about that slider? It exploded away from d'Arnaud, and Simmons got Young and the Mets catcher to fly out and strike out, and he preserves a 1-run lead. Here's who's on deck for Atlanta. They look to build a 5-4 advantage in the 5th. ATC Communications, who rode the Fox Sports Fan Express from Ellijay, Georgia for tonight's ball game. This is the group's first staff outing this season, and we're happy to have them with us.
Again, that is just such a great idea. If you want to come to a ball game with a group of people, whether it's co-workers or family or just your neighborhood, that Fox Fan Express is the way to go. Nice motorhome, ball game. Have somebody else drive you home.
Are you okay with having somebody else drive you home? I know you're a man that likes control and likes to.
I got no choice right now.
Yeah,
partner.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Is it going okay?
Yeah, it is. You like your hair blowing straight back?
Justin Upton leads off. I'm just waiting.
Faster, slower, get over. The fun-loving guys at the DOT did it again.
So what you're saying is a convertible is.
Oh no, it feels like it.
It does.
Yeah.
Dice K, new life. Down only a run. And that in for a strike to Upton, even count. Justin struck out, and he's walked in the game. Breeze picking up just a bit at the ballpark, blowing across from left to right. It's a sticky night. And what'd you say, John? Real hot weather here tomorrow?
That's what I understand. It's supposed to be the warmest day of the year tomorrow. That's why you tee it up as early as you can. A lot of prep work gets done on the golf course.
Look at that ball break. And Upton tried to duck underneath it. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
That's a hard one as a hitter to stay hooked up to because it's thrown right at you. Even from center field, it doesn't do justice to what you see as a hitter. That's a good setup pitch for another one.
Yeah, the front door slider has become a tough pitch on a right-handed hitter, especially after you establish in with a fastball.
Fought it off. It stays alive.
It's a good piece of hitting too, because that's what that pitch was right there. A tight cutter that he was trying to front door.
I know he chased a bad ball his first time up tonight, that big sweeping breaking ball, but I contend again that Justin's putting some really good swings on the ball. Seems to be seeing the ball out of the hands of the pitcher.
And he coaxes a walk. Look at Dice K. He's mad at himself. That pitch was never close enough for Upton to offer.
A walk got the inning started last inning, and he got back within a run. His teammates get him close, and then he walks the first guy. Good at that.
Jason's 0 for 2. Big hole right side if he can pull the ball that way. And he looks downstairs. 1-0 your count. 5 runs, 7 hits for the Braves. They've left 4 runs, 9 hits for the Mets. They've stranded 6. Jason 9 hits, 29 at bats against New York pitching this year. That ball's well hit towards center. Lagares drifts back, and he got there in time for the first out.
Great jump.
He's a fun center fielder to watch. Kind of like, for me, he's kind of like Carlos Gomez, the Brewers.
I like him a lot. Needs to stay on the field, though. He's been hurt twice already in DL this year. By the way, the Braves made their move to put Evan Gattis on the disabled list. As you know by now, we let you know about that at the end of the game last night. Pedro Beato, or excuse me, Juan Jaime has been recalled from Gwinnett. And there he is, loosening up.
Carlos Torres, we understand, back up and throwing in the Mets bullpen down the left field line. Strike one for Chris Johnson. Chris has gotten on twice and has scored twice. He's also stolen a base. And it was just rung up. He can't believe it.
No. No, he didn't.
Just had one of those on the road trip and got thrown out.
Did you happen to see AJ Burnett and how he got thrown out the other night? He walked towards the umpire and said, "Can I have a new ball?" And as he caught it, he turned around and said, "One that you can see."
He got thrown out for that?
Yeah.
Yeah, Pierzynski.
Was it Pierzynski?
Yeah,
or Burnett?
it was AJ Pierzynski.
Okay,
yeah,
Pierzynski. That's what it was.
Give me a ball, one that you can see. One that you can see.
That's
great.
What
it was. That's right. That AJ right. Just didn't have the last one.
Yeah, all those umpire baiting AJ guys, they're all alike, right? 1 ball, 2 strikes. That's got to be one of the more creative ways.
I think so.
For a player.
It's kind of like the old Jim Valvano asking a referee, "Can I get thrown out for what I think?" He said, "Absolutely not." Well, I think that.
And off he goes. You've heard stories about coaches or umpires or players coming out in a blowout game and the manager's trying to put on a show and either fire up his team or he's just frustrated and screaming at the ump, and the ump will look at him and say, "If I got to stay and watch this stuff, you got to stay and watch this stuff." 2 balls, 2 strikes. And a swing and a miss. Chris Johnson's down on strikes. First time Dice K's retired him tonight, and that's the 2nd out.
Looked like a similar pitch to what he struck out Upton on earlier tonight.
I miss the manager argument. I will go to my grave saying that Bobby Cox's record for ejections is one that will never be broken again.
Yeah.
Right?
Easy. Still think Maddox got him thrown out the most.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm sensing a lot of Maddox angst in this broadcast.
No, I believe him. I think that's accurate because anytime Greg showed any anger or disgust with the call, Bobby was right there to take it up.
Not to mention a few times we would say, he'd say, "Doggy, go check that. Go check inside, see where that pitch is." And we'd meet Doggy halfway. "Don't do it, Doggy. Don't tell him. Don't tell him. You know what's going to happen." It was a strike. It was a strike. It was a strike. There he goes.
1 ball, 1 strike.
Bobby was amazing. There's several times I've gone into his office, and I know a couple of guys have done it. Said, "It's my fault, Skip, that you got caught, that you got thrown out. Let me pay the fine." And he's like, "Nope, nope."
Because there's times, he would go out to protect his player from getting thrown out. Obviously, the infamous one in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Runner goes. The pitch, a strike. The throw again, airmailed, and Murphy's able to back this one up and catch it on the fly. Upton's in safely with a steal. And now another chance for La Stella to hit with a man in scoring position.
Number 7 for Justin. High leg kick gave him about 3 steps before Dice Cave and let go of the baseball.
So a hit could score Justin, but La Stella behind in the count, 1-2.
So Hunter Wendelstedt throws me out for no reason. Of course, he stepped on my foot, thought that I bumped him. Here comes Bobby. Because now me and Hunter are chest to chest. He puts his arm on Hunter Wendelstedt to get, him away from me, and then he throws Bobby out. And the conversation that exceeded then was worth every price of admission. Only the ears on that field could have understood what was going on. But Bobby told me to stand on the mound because I wasn't coming out of the game. And like a little 5-year-old, I'm on the mound, crossed my arms. I said, I ain't coming out of the game. And of course, inevitably, I had to come out of the game. But that's the way he was. He would fight for you and take the bullet. And those days are over. Those arguments, or the opportunity for arguments, have been diminished, and rightfully so, by instant replay. Now, once a call's been made, you can't really come out.
As many times as he got thrown out in this day and age, I'm surprised he didn't have a sponsor that covered the fines, And every time he was ejected, this ejection brought to you by.
Don't give him any ideas. Downstairs to La Stella. But I mean, think about it. If Earl Weaver or Lou Piniella or Billy Martin, Whitey Herzog managed in this era, so much of their aura as a major league manager would be lost. And I'm not saying these guys should come out and berate the umpires, but that's one of the things that made the game so entertaining. Watching those guys fight for their players, fight for a call. As La Stella's down swinging to retire Atlanta in the 5th. 8-9-1 coming up for New York. A deliberately paced game, but Atlanta leads it by a 5-4 score.
This copy.
Joe, John, and Chip with you from the ballpark. Time for our AT&T Uverse trivia question. Abreu, Granderson, and Wright are 3 of only 4 current National League players with 225 career homers and 100 career stolen bases. Name the other current National League player with those qualifications.
225 home runs may take BJ out of that equation. It's probably too many homers for him.
Justin, I don't think he's there either. Juan Lagares leads off. Shay Simmons another inning of work. 8-9-1 for the Mets. They have a pinch hitter on deck.
Jimmy Rollins have 225 home runs?
Might. Lagares swings and misses. 1 ball, 1 strike. I don't think Aramis Ramirez has the steals. He's got the homers.
What about Braun? So you got 225 already?
I don't know.
He's had a 40 one time.
I'm just going to have to give the trivia question a little more respect. I kind of overstepped my boundary yesterday, calling the person out. I thought you guys were going to bite in and join in the conversation.
No way.
I got dead air after that, so I realized.
We've been down that road before.
There's one simple rule. Actually, there are only 2 rules, but the most important rule is don't gloat. If you get the trivia right, don't gloat.
Yeah.
Just move on.
Slow learner, I guess. Went 2 for 2, and I started talking stuff I shouldn't have been saying, trying to quote movies lines that didn't come out right. Will Ferrell. Went downhill after that. I just stopped.
Pretty much going downhill right now.
It is.
Yeah, when you go down that person road.
Yeah, I already got an earful today.
Did you?
Yeah. I didn't know they listened. Just thought they're working.
Well, that's up for debate.
2-2 for Lagares, leading off the 6th. The old Broadway play, Damn Yankees. I'd sell my soul if we could just beat those damn Yankees, they said. Braves might be saying the same thing about the Mets. What is it with these guys? They have given Atlanta fits for the last couple years. Another tight 1-run game here in Atlanta, 5-4 the score. Braves have a chance to really bury New York like they did the Phillies. Phillies are playing down in Miami, and word out of the Philly newspapers today was I think they've come, if not to their senses, but to the realization that they've got to start thinking about the future. Phillies aren't in all likelihood going anywhere this year. They may start marketing some of their marketable pieces as Lagares skies one toward right. That'll be playable for Jason Hayward in a couple of steps. Love to see him make the two-handed catch. He did. 1 out.
Yeah, the confusion was they came in here, swept the Braves. They went in, I think, the next 2 days and beat Philadelphia or St. Louis.
Right.
And we're on a nice stretch. And then that 4-game sweep, really what Atlanta delivered over there.
Might have been a knockout blow.
This is Kirk Neuenhuis. He's been up and down for the Mets.
He was the guy who's supposed to be their center fielder for the next decade. Hasn't worked out that way, and now he has to find playing time behind Lagares.
Did you guys hear the walk-up music that they played for him?
Did not.
The old Star Trek theme. Captain Kirk. And a strike. Neuenhuis, a 3rd-round pick back in 2008. Made the opening day roster last year for New York. But never hit 189 with the big club in 47 games. Was a big high school football player in Colorado and went to Azusa Pacific University in California.
He's turning that ball over a little bit. Little sinker to the left-handers.
So Neuenhuis hits for Dice K. Didn't turn that one over, did he?
No, he did not. 96.
Unique way of delivering a fastball. Besides the miles per hour, the deception the hitter must not see it really well.
Full count pitch to Neuenhuis. And a ground ball to second. Tommy to his right makes the play. And Neuenhuis is retired. 2 outs.
2 out, nobody on. I want to quickly thank everybody. It's been so nice while I've been out, sending me nice cards, texts. I don't do tweets, so didn't get any of those. But I appreciate all the good thoughts and nice prayers sent my way for a quick recovery. Much appreciated, and big thanks to Dr. John Gleason and his staff too, and patching it all back together. Much appreciated by them too.
We appreciate you being back. As Curtis Granderson hits and was a little tardy. Strike 1.
Well, when you told me John was going to be here all week and you needed some help, I couldn't help but come.
I told you 3 in a row. Wait till tomorrow. I'll start thinking about other pains. But I'm proud of you. You've been towing the line of wisdom, doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Got to. Got to follow the protocol. It's long enough as it is.
So you got Jimmy here, but what about the boot? What's giving the boot a name?
No.
No.
I've called it a few things.
I figured as much. Oh, look at that breaking ball. What a job by Shay Simmons. 5 up, 5 down. He stranded a pair of runners in the 5th and retired the Mets 1-2-3 here in the 6th inning. His spot's due second. Braves will go to their bench looking to extend a 1-run game.
Lottery, Toyota, and AT&T, mobilizing your world.
5-4 Braves, bottom of the 6th inning. Atlanta has chased Dice K, a man that they have battered around in their head-to-head matchups. 5 runs, 7 hits in 5 innings for Matsuzaka. But he'll give way now to Carlos Torres, part of the Mets bullpen, guys. It's done a pretty good job this year.
Yeah, if it weren't for their bullpen, they would not be anywhere close to 500.
Yeah, early on they got a lot of those losses that you see in their bullpen, but have been on fire of late. Carlos Torres, 93+ mile-an-hour fastball. Over the top delivery. He's got a cutter, a slider with good sweeping action, and a curve that has good breaks. So a variety of ways he can get you out.
And he likes his cutter. He uses it a lot.
So Bethancourt starts off the Atlanta 6th. His first big league RBI came in the 2nd inning and gave Atlanta a 1-0 lead. That came with 2 outs. He has since struck out and questioned the strike call from Dale Scott. That's fouled back. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Braves fans have been hearing. You see Dan Uggla on deck. They've been hearing about Christian Bethancourt for a long time. He joined the organization way back in 2008. We have to remember he's only 22 years old still. And he's down on strikes for the first out here in the Atlanta 6th inning.
Like his swing, though. He's fanned a couple of times tonight. That one looking you were talking about, that was a good swing at a 94 fastball. And a Dan Uggla sighting.
Dan a chance to pinch hit. He'll bat for Simmons. Shay was able to work an inning and 2/3 of perfect relief. And gets a nice cheer here at home.
He did last homestand. Be interesting to see if his name crops up on the rumor mill as we get closer to the trade deadline. There seem to be several teams that are in need of second baseman.
Pop fly slicing down the right field line. Granderson will give chase, but he'll have no play. Trade deadline July 31st in Major League Baseball.
Dan's got this year and 1 more on his contract that's left.
Whoa. Whoa was right.
He's got our camera.
One ball, 2 strikes. And Dan didn't get it, and he's retired. Back-to-back strikeouts for Torres. 2 up, 2 down, top of the order now.
Pretty tight stuff after buzzing the tower. He comes up with a really nasty little slider.
More good work for Upton at the top of the order. He now has an 8-game hitting streak as the Braves leadoff man. In in those 8 games now, including tonight's work, fellas. He scored 6 runs. So he's gotten on, over and in. He's also knocked in 3 runs. That's out of play. A ball and 2 strikes.
Another nice catch by a fan. That's our Zaxby's indescribably good play. Good hands.
These fans have been here a while.
And how about Torres? He came in and struck out the side. Congrats. Great catch. Good game tonight here at Turner Field. 5-4 Braves lead it. We are through 6 at Turner Field tonight.
Granderson's hit a home run for the 2nd time in as many nights. Dan Murphy got the Mets back within 1, but the Braves had some good work against Matsuzaka in the 3rd and 4th innings. Put some runs across to take the lead, and they still lead by a run thanks to some RBIs from Simmons, Freeman, the pitcher, Mike Minor, and then Christian Betancourt, who also picked up his first big league RBI.
So an inning and 2/3 of spotless relief for Shay Simmons. Now the Braves turn it over to Luis Avilan. 43 games for the veteran left-hander out of the Braves pen so far. He'll have Tejada, Murphy, and Campbell coming up.
Worked an inning last night, gave up a hit, but also had a strikeout and turned a double play.
Braves are trying to drop the shorthanded Mets. They're without David Wright. New York has lost 5 of 6 games at the moment. The Braves in a neck-and-neck race with the Nationals in the division. Braves lead Washington by a half game overall in the East.
John, did you, when you were playing, and not when you're pitching because you had too much going on when you're pitching, but were you a bit of a fan at times, even still in uniform, because you like watching some guys play that played for other teams?
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, the fact that look, I was a fan of the game 4 out of the 5 times that the games will play. Though obviously one time I wasn't a fan of anything was when I was pitching, but I paid attention to a lot of things, scores. I was always concerned with what other teams in our division was doing, and certainly tuned into baseball highlights and ESPN and all the different things that were available back then. So I wasn't one of those guys. A lot of guys, you know, even take it a step further after the season's over. They don't watch any playoffs they're not in. They don't watch the World Series. I did that all. I mean, I wanted to take it in. I wanted to see what everybody did in their given moments.
Well, but give me an example of somebody that you enjoyed watching play that played for the other side.
Well, I mean, obviously Tony Gwynn comes to mind because I couldn't get him out, but he just was so. He had like a magic wand, you know. It just was pretty to watch him swing the bat. I was enamored with other pitchers. I remember Pedro Martinez just being the ultimate freak, just going, my gosh, how does he do what he does? Roger Clemens back in the day. So I was lucky enough to pitch with two of the guys that I really enjoyed watching pitch, and that was Maddox and Glavine, of course. But never against the team you're competing against. You always wanted them to do bad, but when you would have a day off or watch something, I never, like I said, I never really got burned out on the game to where I couldn't watch the pinnacle of our sport.
I understand, because it's hard when you're competing and you want to win to enjoy watching somebody else that you know is good. Barry Bonds comes to mind.
Yeah.
You knew something special might happen every at bat.
Yeah, no doubt. Albert Pujols in the National League, I don't know that we'll ever see a greater player for that span of time do what he did.
2-2. One hopper right out to La Stella, who had Tejada played perfectly. And 6 up, 6 down for the Braves relief corps so far tonight. Fans, take advantage of our great deal tonight only. 4 outfield tickets for the Braves and Padres on July 27th. You'll get 4 Hank Aaron jersey shirts for $96. We will watch the Hall of Fame induction ceremonies live on Braves Vision. And the phones are open right now. Give us a call, 404-577-9100. I wouldn't mind going back and being a kid and watching him play again.
To me, that would have been fun. I didn't get a chance to appreciate that at all. Just seeing the highlights.
Yeah, it's amazing to think about how different our game was from an accessibility standpoint just 30, 35, 40 years ago. You only had the 3 networks.
Yeah.
You only had a game of the week. You maybe got newsreel clips of the highlights from around Major League Baseball. There weren't 30-minute highlight shows.
Oh, when This Week in Baseball came into existence, It was like, holy smokes, where's this been?
Right? So the fans around Major League Baseball, how much less rich are their lives for not being able to see even highlights of Henry Aaron or Frank Robinson?
Let's face it.
Anybody.
The expansion of television coverage of baseball has lent itself largely to the expansion of salaries, growth of the game, attendance. All has gone hand in hand.
And there was a time where, even back before television was involved, teams would not even broadcast their home games on radio because they were afraid it would decrease attendance, keep it down. A lot of that changed in Chicago when Philip Wrigley owned the Cubs. He decided to put the Cubs on WGN TV in Chicago, and all the advertising people went nuts. They said, "What are you doing? You're giving away your product." And Mr. Wrigley said, "I spend $1 million a week to try to sell a 10-cent pack of gum. I can put my baseball product on national TV or on cable or even regional TV in Chicago for 3 hours every single day. Do you think people will come watch?" Well, eventually they did. High to Murphy, 3 balls, 2 strikes. And then it really took off with the Superstation here in Atlanta, WOR in New York, which did the Mets games. now you can get a game anywhere, anytime you want. That one's hit high in the air towards center. And P.J. Upton will get to the warning track and make the play to retire Murphy for the second out. The most amazing part is, guys, you could be sitting in Dubai with your iPad and dial up a major league game and watch it in real time from your hotel room. It's amazing.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. I mean, to be honest with you, that when I first started doing this for the Mariners, we only did road games for that same reason, fear of affecting attendance.
Eric Campbell, the hitter, with 2 outs. And I'd love to do an email or Twitter experiment. Where's everybody watching this game? I'd like to know.
Twitter? Really?
Well, you don't have to worry about it. You don't have the account.
I know I was thankful after getting traded from my hometown team, where I thought my family could see me pitch every game, to TBS, where they could watch more games than they ever possibly thought.
Right.
And it was really an unbelievable blessing to have that national coverage, and certainly no game was not available. You could watch everything you wanted.
And in the early days, there wasn't a whole lot you really wanted to watch, but you could.
Yeah.
The team wasn't real good. And more baseball will be watching in just a few short weeks. On Big Fox, we'll have the All-Star game in Minneapolis. That'll be beamed around the world.
Yeah, it's a great thing for Minneapolis and Target Field. Chance for the whole country, the whole world to see Target Field. It's such a great ballpark.
It really is. They did a nice job. Still can't believe they've gotten away with it in April, but
there's a strike. Campbell was on his way to first base, but he'll stick around for a full count pitch.
And if they get relevant again, we'll find out in October someday how that weather holds up. Which they got to be hoping they are.
Driven toward right, but Jason Hayward, he's got it. And Avilan has a 1-2-3 seventh. Time to stretch the ballpark. Atlanta still leads the Mets. 5-4 your score.
Take South fan photo for a chance to have it shown in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by AT&T. Tweet it. Hear that?
Whoa. What was that?
Tweet. That's Jimmy speaking out.
So Andrelton Simmons goes to work for the Braves here in the home seventh. And time for our sun-dressed shining moment.
biggest pitch of the night for Dice K after he looked like he was about to get out of the inning. He struck out Betancourt, then gave up an RBI hit to Minor, gave up another base hit to BJ, who then stole a base, and then that pitch to Andrelton Simmons. The difference in the ball game right now.
Well, a little insurance wouldn't hurt.
The Braves lead 5-4. Simmons 2 for 3. And a bouncing ball. Campbell, nice play. Long toss across in time. One pitch, 1 out.
The Simmons brothers are having a huge part in this game so far.
Freddy Freeman has an RBI double in 3 tries. He had his 12-game hit streak against the Mets broken last night, but still drove in a couple of runs. He's back at it tonight with an RBI hit. And that's hammered a long way the other way, foul. Freddie had about a month and a week where he wasn't Freddie Freeman at the plate. Since then, he's been swinging the bat like he did in the first month of the year. Last 16 games, Freeman around the 370 mark. And making a steady climb, fellas, back toward a 300 batting average. He's 9 points shy in this at bat.
That's where he's going to stay, I believe, most of his career. He's got the rare power, hit for average. Not a super high strikeout guy.
We were talking about La Stella, though, and how he was hot when he came up. They put him in the leadoff spot. He got cold. He's heated up again. But this season, 162 games, and it's literally 162 for a guy like Freddie who plays every inning. Even the best go through stretches where you just lose it. You just lose a feel. Your bat slows down. You're a little tired. You're not seeing the ball well. And then it comes back around again.
So that's the 4th strikeout for Torres. 2 up, 2 down to the Braves. 7th again, July 27th. The Padres are here. Get 4 outfield tickets for the Braves Padres ball game on Sunday, and you'll get 4 Hank Aaron jersey T-shirts for $96. Special day. We'll watch the Cooperstown induction ceremonies. Greg Maddux, Tom Glavine, and Bobby Cox.
Remember, dress like a Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
I like that. That's a good idea.
what do you think that would entail, John? Suit, tie?
Depends who you're talking about.
I'll tell you what, if anybody wears a reindeer sweater, because you would be dressing like a Hall of Famer, we'll figure out something to do for you.
A moose.
Oh, well, I think there's only one moose sweater in the world, so it may have to.
I may put in a call to Nuxie. Call Phil Necro.
Yeah.
And say, what do you recommend?
You wear
on Hall of Fame day?
It's a good idea.
I've seen some of the flashy attire that Mr. Necro used to don back in his playing days.
One ball, 2 strikes. That's going to be obviously we've talked about it quite a bit this summer, but what a wonderful celebration of Braves baseball. Celebration of baseball for the great state of Georgia. Georgia or Braves connections with all of the inductees this year, which is so unbelievable. As Upton drives one deep left center field, Lagares on the run, still going and ran underneath. Upton was robbed by Lagares, who tracked that down in left center field on the warning track. When he's healthy, he is a big time player for the Mets. We go to the 8th. To the 8th inning, and we have seen some terrific catches. How about this one from Lagares running from pillar to post?
Yeah, he covers a lot of ground and has gotten some good jumps on some balls, and he had another good jump.
He's a dandy.
So that catch helps us segue to Jason Hayward. I think Joe said it great last night. Best in the business. You see what we're talking about on our Academy Sports and Outdoors leaderboard.
It's a hard thing to quantify, but when Jason Hayward has a 6-run lead over anybody else in baseball, that ought to say a lot to you about how well he plays his position. You know, if everybody was bunched around the same number on that board, you might have a hard time figuring out really good versus is everybody about the same on the leaderboard, and he's put some distance between him and the others.
Ramiro Pena checks in at second base. He will bat 7th. Jordan Walden will pitch and bat 9th, and hopefully have an uneventful 8th with Duda, Young, and Darno coming up. And a strike. And some great responses from fans around the country and the world. Perth, Australia, Guadalajara, Mexico, tuning in tonight. Vancouver. And hopefully you've enjoyed a good game tonight. Brewers trying to take 2 in a row from the Mets and continue to own the Eastern lead.
Did you say Australia?
Perth, Australia, where they sent us a picture. It's morning.
Yeah, 6 a.m. something like that.
Yep. Dave wants to know if we won.
That was the weirdest transition for me. Got there yesterday.
How many days were you there altogether?
Only 6. Or I guess 5, but
that's pretty good.
6. It wasn't bad. I thought I had licked the flight home. 2 days later, I was out for 3 days. I was done. Little bad break on the way down. Was really looking forward to the technology that the plane had, and the 16-hour trip turns into a 21-hour trip in essence with the layover in LA. But no technology on the way over. Oh, they asked people if they wanted to rebook their flights. And knowing, you know, me, the technology stud that I am, I didn't rely on anything on my iPad, didn't download any movies, nothing. Because I just knew that, you know, in first class there, they were going to catch up on my movies and all that stuff.
There's a fix for that for the next time you go. Benadryl.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't have worked. That is a long one over with nothing.
What a beautiful place.
It's unbelievable. I can't wait to go again. I really can't. It's a great experience for us and covering the game with the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks. I almost hit a kangaroo, though. That would have been a bad situation.
Really?
Yeah. Well, it's like deer for us over here, and they got a lot of those in the country. Great pitch.
Due to out in front, something off speed.
I think that's why Jordan's so good against lefties. That fastball you have to respect, and the changeup is a great out pitch.
It just kind of floats, you know. It's just same arm action. All the hitter does is see you jump out at him, thinking the fastball's there, and the great equalizer.
Chris Young, the hitter, base is empty. 1 out. Young's 0 for 3. Shay Simmons came on with 2 on, 1 out in the 5th. Braves had a 1-run lead. The Mets have not had a base runner since. And Young got a break, it looks like. And it's called a ball. 1 ball, no strikes. Back our way and overhead. 1 ball, 1 strike.
John, today on the Braves Live show, Jen had a good feature on that safety hat for pitchers.
Yeah.
That has come out, and there's a pitcher in San Diego that's begun to wear it, and they had a Braves cap today. They were looking at it, and Paul Bird put it on. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yeah,
or not.
I put it on.
Did you?
Yeah.
Would you wear it?
No.
Is it too big?
Yeah.
Too heavy?
I'll give him credit, though. I honestly will give him credit. It's a lot more comfortable than I thought it was going to be. I thought the weight, the bulkiness, you know, when you're pitching, you need everything centered. As you can see, that wasn't centered too well on Paul Bird's head, but that I mean, I give him credit for being able to pitch with it, because again, if it doesn't affect you and it gives you some hope of protection in case that
and you don't care what you look like.
Yeah. It's a good thing Bruce Bochy's not a pitcher.
3-2 pitch just bounced out of play, foul. Well, I understand what baseball's trying to do. There's all kinds of protective equipment in the game, but you were on the mound. How many close calls like that did you ever have?
I mean, fortunately not many, but you don't ever think about it. Like, you're not pitching thinking about what if. The guys that, unfortunately, percentage wise, it's so small, but it's such a tough thing to watch. And if you can feel your position more times than not, you got a chance to react. It's the guys, I think, sometimes that the way they finish, and obviously the timing of the ball right back up the middle. The closest, again, that ever came to me, I got hit right in the collarbone just below it, and luckily it didn't break. But
I'm guessing over time technology will improve to the point where that cap will be less bulky and just as protective. As Young is down on strikes, that's the 2nd out, and as Joe mentioned, Jen brought the cap up to the press box earlier and has more on that story.
Yeah, just to give you guys a few more details on it, the Braves actually got a couple of them in this week for the first time for the pitchers that had requested them. Now, Alex Torres, as I think you guys talked about for San Diego, was the first to wear this in the major leagues, and you can definitely see how kind of strange and bulky it looks. There you get a good look at what it looks like on the inside. David Carpenter let me borrow his today that he has, and it adds about 7 ounces of weight to a regular baseball cap.
That is the first hit by the Mets since the 5th inning. The first base runner allowed by the Braves bullpen tonight. Jen?
To finish that story up, guys, you know, I think our cameraman Gumby down here was going to wear the cap for a while. I don't know if you saw that ball in the first inning. It dented the side of the camera. We can use all the protection we can get down here. There you see it. He's got a little dent right by that number 5. Gumby, he's tough. He doesn't need any protective cap. He just aimed that camera right in the way of the ball and protected all of us.
That's big enough. It almost fit on the camera.
So the tying run on for the Mets here in the 8th inning. 5-4 Braves lead, just a tick or two past 10 o'clock Eastern time. And that's outside. 1 ball, no strikes. Two hits for Lagares. He scored one of the 5, I beg your pardon, one of the 4 Mets runs. And that's out of play, even count. Washington 7, Colorado 1. That game's in the 8th. Phillies and Marlins 4-4 bottom 9 in Miami. That caught a corner. It's a ball and 2 strikes.
After Jordan came back from the disabled list, he was a little rusty. Had a couple of games where he was having a hard time finding the strike zone, was walking some guys. But since then, he's been spot on. And very sharp tonight.
And how about that pitch? Lagares chased one in the opposite batter's box, and Walden strikes out 3 in the 8th inning. Atlanta 5, New York 4. Bottom half of the frame coming up. Dominant Braves relief pitching tonight. A run or 2 would be welcome as the Braves try to knock off New York. Abreu, Granderson, and Wright are 3 of only 4 current National League players with 225 career homers and 100 or more stolen bases. Who's the other?
I got it. I know there's always a little twist here. You know the names I first threw out. Typically think about Rollins, Braun, those guys, even Utley, right? You got to think differently. You got to think kind of a power guy that may have snuck in there and stole enough bases.
Okay.
I'm going with Matt Holliday. Been around long enough.
Okay. I'm not going to go there.
You're not?
No. I'm going to go Braun.
You're going Braun?
I think he comes up short.
I'm going Gerald Laird. Hey! It is Matt Holliday.
Well,
I'm not going to say a word. I'm just going to let it go.
I don't
shake your guys'
either.
hands.
Here's what you do. Don't say a word. Look into that camera and just smile. That's all you have to do. as Jason Hayward leads off. Boy, Torres has been impressive tonight. 2 innings, 4 strikeouts. At only 24 pitches. And his 25th is skied to center, where Lagares is underneath that. He's got it. And there's out number 1.
It came in averaging better than a strikeout per inning pitched. 52 strikeouts in 47 2/3 innings. But he was being hit at a 285 clip.
A little remembrance reminds me a little bit of Juan Cruz, a little bigger, bulkier Juan Cruz. His front shoulder is so important to him. If he doesn't throw uphill, he throws really good because he has that over the top delivery. But because that front shoulder can stay quiet, it allows him to have that kind of stuff that goes and stays on plane.
You always had a great nickname for Juan Cruz. Do you remember it?
No.
Lawn dart.
Oh, yeah. I tell you, that guy could, I don't know how he did it, but he could throw hard.
Kind of like Pedro.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Really? 0-2 for Chris.
Somehow I think that might have been somebody else's nickname.
Oh. And they're not here to defend themselves, huh?
No, it always stuck with me. That's what you told me you called him.
That's out towards second. Short hopped by Murphy, and he'll make the throw to first. And that's 2 out. Torres was originally a Chicago White Sox farm man. He got to the big leagues in 2009 in Chicago. Same in 2010. Didn't work out with the White Sox. And then he went to Japan and played for the Yomiuri Giants. He pitched in only 6 games in Japan. Then he went to Colorado. Then he found his way to the Mets last year. Started 9 games. Pitched in 33 in total. And won 4 games. He's the long man in relief tonight and really saving the Mets bullpen.
Yeah, he has. He's got great tilt to all the pitches tonight and changes speeds with the breaking ball.
Little tapper back to the mound. Torres threw a sinker to first. He was in a big hurry. And once again, 8th inning defensive issues for the Mets and their pitchers throwing the baseball here in Atlanta.
They can throw it 60 feet 6 inches. They cannot throw it to bases on a consistent basis. What was his hurry? Thank you very much. And I hate to say this, John, but when I did play some first base, you could see this coming. You could see it in their eyes when they got in a hurry. It was a totally different release of the baseball.
Yep.
So thank you very much. Pena at first on the air, and Bethancourt now rolls towards short. Tejada charges. He throws low, but a long hop handled by Lucas Duda. The Mets nearly some more 8th inning adventures. Instead, it's a 1-run game as we head to the 9th. 5-4 Atlanta.
photo to hashtag #SouthFanPhoto for a chance to be shown in the upcoming game broadcast brought to you by AT&T. I did what the pitcher did. I did what the pitcher did. Now that's back in the day.
Oh my. Style master.
It's still better than the moose.
Is that a cardigan? Come on, dude.
What's the line in Dumb and Dumber? No, thanks for noticing.
No, it's pull over.
No, it's a cardigan. Thanks for noticing.
Somebody just suggested it had a very strong likeness to Mr. Rogers.
Well.
Well, Craig Kimbrel's on for Atlanta. 36th game, looking for his 26th save. He's been busy. This will be his 3rd outing in 3 days and the 4th in the last 5 for Atlanta.
What was your max, John?
5 out of 7. 7 out of 9. I'm not sure. But you got, again, the biggest thing about when you're in games, if you have those 15 to 20, 21 pitch outings, you're not going to have that stretch run that's going to be locked together. You got to get some 8 to 12 to 14 pitch saves outings. You can go 3, 4 in a row. I know they don't. They typically don't go more than 3 in a row with Craig, which is understandable.
The Braves do have an off day coming on Thursday, so we'll see if that factors into his availability for tomorrow's game. He's got to get this one finished tonight. Toughest save, 1 run with 9, 1, and 2 hitters coming up. And that's Eric Young pinch hitting for New York and Carlos Torres. Painted the corner with that one, 1 and 2.
And here's one of those guys that not only in a 1-run game, all rules are off for a closer. You basically treat each hitter as the potential guy that could hit a home run or tie the game. But this guy gets on the bases and creates a lot of problems with his speed.
Swing and a miss. Wicked breaking ball. Well, that was an efficient sequence.
Yeah, to me, and again, 1-run saves, this is where the strength of Craig Kimbrel comes out. He can strike out the side. I think there's value in 3-run saves to not have to strike out the side and limit your pitches, but this is where he's so nasty and where he can limit contact. And obviously, if you limit contact in a 1-run game, you're going to win.
That was a good pitch because he didn't try to overthrow that breaking ball.
Be careful with Granderson. He's swinging a hot bat for the Mets. A couple of homers in the series, including a 2-run shot in the 3rd off Mike Minor. How about that swing? His knuckles out of play. Again, we've got the Braves and Padres July 27th. This is your last chance to call us for this great deal. 4 outfield tickets, 4 Hank Aaron jersey shirts. There's your number. Swing and a miss. Granderson's down on strikes.
That was just Powder River, that at bat. Gave him a breaking ball to get ahead, and then another gas.
Yeah, that's an outstanding, 2 outstanding approaches to command of the fastball, fear of the breaking ball.
And Bobby Abreu is the final hope for the Mets. $21,347 standing in unison. Strike one.
I actually think, and again, this is a long season, so you never want to burn a guy out. But when you get into a rhythm and you get your 3 in a row, I think you got a chance to be better and fresher and throw more strikes than when you pitch one day and then have 6 days off. As a closer, that's the toughest spot to be in. And then when you can get your day off built in with a day off in the schedule, that's awesome to get 2 in a row after 3.
Well, the last 5 outs have all been swing and miss strikeouts from Walden and Kimbrel.
Maybe I take for granted I didn't realize that the Braves staff was second in base in the National League in strikeouts. That says a lot about the starters and not only the bullpen, which just wipe out stuff.
Kimbrel's earning his stripes tonight. 2 strikeouts, an 0-2 count coming to Abreu. And we'll do it again.
Veteran hitters, even guys long in the tooth like Bobby Abreu, know that when a guy's throwing this hard, the harder you swing, the slower you're going to be and too late to catch up. And he shortens up everything. I'm not even sure he's taking a stride, just trying to use his hands to get the bat to the baseball.
Now you bounce the curveball. Oh, man, how do you lay off that? That's good.
I don't know.
Discipline. It was just too good of a pitch. Sometimes the hitter says, oh, man, you didn't give me a chance. Right idea after throwing 3 or 4 straight fastballs.
Betancourt's done a good job back there too for these guys. He looks very good.
Now the 1-2 pitch. He struck out the side. What a night for Kimbrel, and what a night for the Braves bullpen. Atlanta beats the Mets 5-4, your final score. Kimbrel's the guy that gets the save headlines, but it's a milestone night for Shay Simmons. This should be his first big league win. He played a big part in Atlanta's victory, and we'll talk about that and more after this.